The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast. With Lookers. New or used, they've got something for every taste. Visit them today. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard as we return to domestic football after the international break. The Philippe Clement era at Rangers gets underway with the visit of Hibs. Celtic will have the chance to respond tomorrow when they head to the capital to take on Hearts, and the weather has ripped the fixture card apart with Kilmarnock against Livingston, the only other top flight game to go ahead. I'm Gordon Duncan, and joining me in the dry warm studio is Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
Storm Babette has butchered the SPFL card, but the big game in Glasgow has beaten the weather. Partick Thistle versus Dundee United goes ahead at Firhill. All right, I know. But with respect to Chris Doolan and to Jim Goodwin, all eyes focused on Ibrox. Philippe Clement has done more press conferences this week than some teams have points so far this season. But today, no more talk. It's all about what Hibs do against Rangers, and more importantly for Philippe Clement, what Rangers do against Hibs. A fascinating afternoon. Rangers can reduce Celtic's lead at the top prior to Brendan Rodgers' team playing against Hearts tomorrow.
Always a shame, Gordon, when so many games get called off across the country. But for the two Premiership games we've got in store, well, a lot to look forward to. Philippe Clement obviously in the door. It'll be interesting to see how this Rangers team play and his first selection. And down at Rugby Park, well, for Derek McInnes, it's an opportunity for him to get his season back on track after such a promising start. He finds himself languishing in 9th place. He'll be looking for a victory against Livingston, and rightly what Hugh says, big game in the Championship, Partick Thistle v Dundee United.
Yeah, all eyes firmly focused on Ibrox this afternoon, Gordon, with the fact of how many games are off. Obviously, as Matt said there, what team will the new manager play today? We'll find out very soon. And Derek McInnes down at Rugby Park needs a result, but we'll still get plenty of action, plenty of goals, plenty of excitement.
We do indeed. I'll let you turn that phone off while I go to Ibrox and get Philippe Clement's first ever Rangers team. Roger Hannah has been scrambled there due to his game being cancelled. He's alongside Andrew McLean.
Yeah, well, today marks that new era for Rangers. They'll be hoping it's the start of a long relationship with Philippe Clement, something that's failed to transpire under the last two managers. A fresh start was needed. Today will be the first glimpse of what fans can expect. Philippe Clement says he's not Harry Potter. He doesn't have a magic wand that he can wave and make everything better in an instant, but he'll be hoping that supporters see signs of what is to come in the coming months and hopefully years in his case. He had some big decisions to make in terms of team news. Two players that were heavily criticised in recent months, Sam Lammers and Cyril Dessers, they both start today, and Michael Beale was also criticised at times for his lack of width. Well, Scott Wright and Abdallah Sima are both in from the start as well. So it's Jack Butland in goal, the back four, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Suter is preferred to Ben Davies, and it's Borna Barisic at left back. The two holding midfielders, John Lundstrom and Nicholas Raskin. Scott Wright and Abdallah Sima out wide, Sam Lammers in behind the striker Cyril Dessers. The substitutes: McCrory, Yilmaz, Jack, Cantwell, Roof, Davies, Balogun, McCausland and Danilo. As for the visitors, Hibs, well, they have been looking better, certainly under Nick Montgomery, unbeaten in the 5 games since he came in. 3 of those have been draws though, but maintaining that unbeaten record would certainly be a job well done, you'd think, today, if they can manage it. In goal for them, it's David Marshall. It's a back four of Lewis Miller, Paul Hanlon, Will Fish and Jordan Obita. The midfield 4, Martin Boyle, Joe Newell, Jimmy Jego and Ellie Yuan, and the front 2, Adam Lafondra and Dylan Venter. The substitutes: Wallacott, Levitt, Stevenson, Doidge, Del Ferrier, Tavares, Campbell, Bashiri and Whittaker. The referee at Ibrox, Don Robertson. The VAR, Gavin Duncan. Roger Hannah alongside me. A huge day for Philippe Clement. He had some massive decisions to make. What do you make, first of all, of the starting 11 he's gone for?
It's a huge day for Philippe Clement. A big crowd, a capacity crowd at Ibrox here this afternoon. It's getting busy already, Andrew. And I think when the teams are announced here to the supporters, they will be surprised at Lammers, Dessers and Wright. Philippe Clement spoke yesterday that Todd Cantwell not quite ready for 90 minutes. Kamar Roof likewise. Danilo, if he comes on, would play in a mask. Ryan Jack not quite ready for 90. But I think the supporters would have thought these guys would maybe have been on from the start, played an hour or so and then come off, rather than going with this front, an attack of Dessers up top, right one side, Lammers in behind. These are guys who have not convinced at all this season under Michael Beale. It's a new clean slate for everybody, and you just wonder if Philippe Clement can get the tune out of them that his predecessor didn't.
Yeah, you say it's a clean slate for the players. That's certainly what Philippe Clement has said, but these supporters here inside Ibrox will remember the performances they've seen from this specific group of players. They were booed off last time they played here against Aberdeen, not for the first time this season as well, so the players will know that they really need to step up, and their past will catch up with them quickly if they don't get the job done today.
Very much so, Andrew, and you can tell by the Hibernian team, they have come to play. Nick Montgomery's made a bright start to his new job, along the M8 at Easter Road, and there, no concessions to the fact they're coming to Glasgow to take on Rangers at Ibrox. A front pairing of Dylan Venter and Adam Lafondra, and two wingers, Martin Boyle, who has been a thorn in Rangers' side in the past. Think back to that League Cup semi-final at Hampden with David McCallum was in charge of Rangers just at the start of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's reign. And then on the other side, Ela Yuan. You can't have any more confidence as a Hibernian winger than you do when you've just scored two in a derby against Hearts at Tynecastle.
Yeah, well, Philippe Clement has just done some pre-match media duties pitch side. He's made his way down the tunnel. You just wonder what is going through the Belgian's head at the moment. It is just under an hour until kick-off here at Ibrox for Rangers against Hibs.
Well, good early start for Scott Wright. He must feel very good about being in the team from the start. It wasn't a regular under Michael Beale, but a vote of confidence from the manager, likewise Abdallah Sima. An indication that Philippe Clement wants to go with wide players. The Rangers fans will like the look of that. And if you're Lammers and Dessers, another early vote of confidence in them. They have had a shocking start to their time at Rangers. They are not appreciated by the fans, but today begins the beginning of their rehabilitation. They have got to make it count.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised. Not much change in terms of personnel. It's the same guys that have been there and disappointed this season. But Philippe Clement will be hoping for a reaction straight away. And we were touching on it the other night, that when a new manager comes in, standards always seem to rise. Whether that be in training or a match day, you always seem to get an instant reaction. He'll be hoping for the same today of some of these players. Interesting, Scott Wright's always the one that stands out to me in recent times. He was heading out the door at Ibrox, and he's found himself right in the manager's plans, right in his first selection, and it's an opportunity for him to grab that and run with it and be a big part of Philippe Clement's plans.
I know people are surprised a bit, Gordon Dalziel, but at the same time, if you're Philippe Clement, you've arrived into a new job, you've got your footballing philosophy, as that irritating phrase goes, and you want to play with wingers. You don't have Rabbi Matondo, and you've got no one else. You're going to pick Scott Wright, you're going to pick Abdallah Sima, and if you've assessed that Danilo isn't fit to start from the beginning and Todd Cantwell isn't fit to start from the beginning, is it really that surprising when you dig down into some of the reasons for it? I
think his hand's been forced with this lineup. It'll be interesting to see when everybody's fit, if he sticks with this sort of a, is it going to be 4-3-3? Is it going to be 4-2-3-1? And Wright and obviously Sima getting into the wide areas, but it looks like he wants to play with bags of width. It's an interesting side, and Mark's quite right. It's an opportunity now, because Lammers has come in for a bit of criticism, Dessers has come in for a bit of criticism. It's up to them now to go and prove their worth. Suter, for me, is the right pick at centre back with Golson. I think looking at the pairings, Golson and Suter's the best, rather than Golson and Davis. So look, it's up to the players now. I think this has got to be difficult, because I think that you've got a Hibs team coming down that M8 that fancies something this afternoon, but it's got to be a really interesting game.
Barisic's another one. Barisic, Yilmaz is on the bench there. So that's another big selection. Daz is right with Suter, because you've got Balogun, you've got Davies on the bench here. So those are ones that stand out, that his hand hasn't been forced. He's probably assessed them midweek. He's probably got Alex, he's taken those, and Steve Davis, and what they think about those certain positions, and he's chose Barisic again. So for all the criticism, and particularly myself, I've gave Barisic an awful lot this season. Philippe Clement's come in and he's first pick ahead of Yilmaz again.
We're talking about Philippe Clement's philosophy What about Nick Montgomery? No messing about. Martin Boyle, Lafondra, Ewan, Dylan Venti. It's got the makings of a real match, this. And if Hibs are going to go at Rangers, then the new manager will get some introduction to Scottish football.
What can Philippe Clement realistically change in 5 days, Roger Hannah? He says he is not Harry Potter, he has no magic stick, but what can he get across in this time?
Well, he'll start getting across his own philosophy. It's bound to be different from Michael Beale. I think the way he approaches the man management of the squad will be different as well. Michael Beale, having been a coach under Steven Gerrard back in the day, Gordon, was very much a sort of arm round the shoulder, very much a player's pal, if you like. I'm not so sure Philippe Clement will have that same close relationship with the players. I think he might try and keep himself a little bit more distant. I think he'll command more respect from the players. And that might not be a bad thing for this Rangers squad, to have a no-nonsense manager in the door who will, make things maybe a little bit tougher for them than it's been before.
Let's hear a bit from Philippe Clement then on this weekend's task.
Of course, I'm looking forward to that, but I know this will not be our best game of the season, and it will not be a reflection of totally what I want. I hope to see things that we train on, that we see them in the best way in the game, but I'm realistic also. I'm not a naive person. So one thing is really important for me. I want to create much more the bond between supporters, the fans, and the players again. I think it's a crucial thing for this club from both sides. For the players, but also for the fans. So let's start with that.
A bit of a cliche, I suppose, Roger Hannah, but those who will be filling into Ibrox just now, will they be expect to see a bit more intensity, a bit more energy? That brings about its own questions of, well, what do you mean you weren't trying for the previous manager? And you never quite know how to put your finger on the answer to that stuff, but that's certainly the sort of calls we've been getting through the week.
100%. The manager reflected it yesterday, Gordon, when he said he didn't believe the players were fit enough. He thought that lack of fitness was a contributory factor to the injuries that the squad have sustained in the early weeks of the season. So I think the fans will expect more energy. I think they'll expect more intensity. They'll want to see Tavernier and Barisic galloping up the flanks the way they've done in previous seasons, and they will expect this Rangers team, even one with Wright, Lammers, Dessers up top, they will expect this Rangers team to go at Hibernian from the very first whistle.
We'll get back to that game at Ibrox. We've given you the team news. We've heard a bit from Philippe Clement, but we'll bring the rest of the guys in and discuss his appointment in more detail in the not too distant future. Let's go round the grounds. It's not much of a journey, it has to be said, because there is only one remaining Premiership fixture that survived the weather. It's Kilmarnock against Livingston. El Plastico and our favourite advocate of artificial surfaces, Fraser Wishart, is there.
Yeah, delighted to be here. All I need is half a dozen VAR interventions, Gordon, and my day will be made. But the town of Kilmarnock's actually missed all the bad weather that Hugh was talking about earlier. It's absolutely beautiful here. The sun's shining, conditions perfect. No wind. That means a dry pitch, so I'm not sure we'll get too much great football. But as Mark Wilson was saying earlier, it's an important game for Kilmarnock. They have dropped to 9th since that excellent start to the season. They beat the Old Firm, either side of a draw at Tynecastle, but they haven't won in 7 games if you include the Cup quarter-final against Hearts since, and their last one was against Celtic on August the 20th. So this is a really good opportunity to stop that rot, but a defeat would just add to the sort of downbeat morale at Kilmarnock at the moment. So this is really a chance for them to be in the top 6 and getting really pushing for that top 6 place. It tends to be a lack of goals for any team in the bottom half of the table, and you don't lose that many if you're Kilmarnock, but they don't score that many, only 4 goals in 4 home league games. I think that tells its own story, and as always we'll find it difficult against Livingston, who, as we know, will first and foremost be organised and hard working. So Derek McInnes will be looking for more support to main threat Dan Armstrong. He's brought back Marley Watkins and also Kyle Vassell in a striking position as well today, so looking for a bit more firepower. But for Livy, they're slowly getting back to their best. A really good win last time out against Motherwell will have brought confidence to their squad. It took them into the top 6, and actually a win today will take them into 4th with Hearts playing tomorrow. So injuries clearing, Michael Devlin and Christian Montano back today, Bruce Anderson scoring goals, and I think this is the type of game that Livingston thrive on. Away from home, they don't have to make the play, don't have to be on the ball and being creative, but they can put pressure on the opposition when they have the ball and hit on the counter-attack. So I don't expect a classic, but I think it'll be very tight with maybe just the one goal in it to settle the game. For Kilmarnock, they made 2 changes. Robbie Dees and Matty Kennedy dropped to the bench. Marley Watkins and Joe Wright come in. 4-2-3-1, a change of formation as well by Derek. Will Dennis in goals, Lewis Mayo, Stuart Finlay, Joe Wright and Corey Ndaba at the back. 2 sitting midfielders, Brad Lyons and David Watson. Dan Armstrong, Liam Polworth and Marley Watkins behind the lone striker Kyle Vassell. Kieran O'Hara, Jack Sanders, Robbie Dees, Thomas Davis, Rory McKenzie, Liam Donnelly, Fraser Murray, Matty Kennedy and Andrew Dallas are on the bench. 2 changes also for Livingston from that win against Motherwell a couple of weeks ago. Obalive's out completely injured and Stephen Kelly drops the bench. In comes skipper Michael Devlin and Mo Sangari. They look like a 3-5-2 formation. Shamal George in goals, Louis DeLucas, Michael Devlin and Sean Kelly at the back. Dan Mackay, Jason Holt, Mo Sangari and Scott Pittman in midfield, with James Penrice in midfield, and 2 strikers, Bruce Anderson and Joel Newbley. Livy subs, Jack Hamilton, Christian Montano, Stephen Kelly, Jimmy Brandon, Miles Welsh Hayes, Stephen Bradley, Andrew Shinney, Daniel Lloyd and Curtis Guthrie. And the referee today is Craig Napier, and the VAR box, Mr Greg Aiken.
Now, I'm looking forward to that one. We've had to dig into the Championship for our other featured game. Now, listen to this. Obviously, we would not make light of a very serious weather situation up there, but some guys just get all the luck. David Friel was meant to be in Dingwall and he's only had to go as far as Maryhill. Honestly, talk me through it. You weren't on your way, were you?
No, I was up, I was ready, I was all packed. I had my Wimpy order all planned out. Obviously doing the Dave Galloway Wimpy run. And then a friend up north texted me saying game's off. So obviously spoke to Andrew earlier, relocated to Firhill, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I know you'll say I've struck it lucky, but this is going to be a good game. United in first place in the Championship against Thistle in third. I think there's always been a good rivalry between these clubs over the years, and this one is going to have some added spice when you look at the United line-up. Kevin Holt, a big player for Thistle last year. Ross Docherty, was the Thistle captain last year. Both elected to move to Tannadice in the summer. They are on their way back for the first time to date. They're going to get an interesting reception. I spoke to a Thistle official earlier on and said, do you think they'll get a warm welcome? And he said, don't be silly. They're going to get absolute pelters, but I think the two of them will enjoy it, Ross. Docherty, talking through the week, said he's going to be the Panto villain. So this is all the makings of a cracker, and 2 teams in good form too. Thistle a decent run, 4 wins and a draw from their last 6 league games. I think they're starting to hit some form, but United, top of the league, are going to take some stopping. Jim Goodwin really has them going well, full of confidence. I think they lost to Thistle 2-1 in the group stages of the Viaplay Cup back in July, Gordon, but they've not been beaten since. They've won 9 and drawn 3 of the 12 games in all competitions. This is the final game of the first quarter of the Championship season. They're clearly determined to finish that period off unbeaten, send out a statement to the rest of the division. There's another incentive here as well. Mark Ogren, obviously America-based, the Dundee United owner, he's over for the game today, and he hasn't actually seen them win for 14 months. That was the game against AZ Alkmaar at the start of last season when Jack Ross was the manager. So much has happened since then. He's in the building today. He's here to see a win, and Jim Goodwin's side will need to deliver it. But Partick Thistle, as I said, are in good form. We'll just go through the teams for you. Thistle's going to be sort of 4-2-3-1 formation. Jamie Snedden in goals, Kieran Ngwenya, Lewis Nielsen, Aaron Muirhead and Harry Millen at the back. Stuart Bannigan and Kerr McInroy at the base of the midfield, with Stephen Lawless, Scott Robinson, Aidan Fitzpatrick in behind Brian Graham, who's facing his former club. Subs for Thistle are Mitchell, Williamson, Alston, McDonald, Stanley, McKenzie, Dyack and Adeloy. As for United, all the big hitters are back. Few were rested last week for the game against Peterhead, so it's Jack Walton in goals, Liam Grimshaw, Declan Gallagher, Kevin Holt and Scott McMahon at the back. Ross Docherty and Craig Sibbald at the base of the midfield, with Glenn Middleton, Tony Watt and Kai Fotheringham in behind Louis Moult. Subs for United are Newman, Denham, Graham, Tilson, Freeman, Duffy, Mockery, Cudjoe and Moore. And the referee at Firhill, glorious pitch, glorious weather, is Stephen Kirkland.
Not to worry. Andrew McLean, who keeps an eye on the diary, says you are a dead cert to go to the rescheduled fixture, even if it is midweek in February. So get your wimpy order placed on hold.
Yeah, that's fine, Gordon. I'll happily go up. Happily.
Good. I'm sure you would. He's a real team player, is David Friel, and that's you. 3 featured games. Just to recap, in case you hadn't heard, and I'm sure you had, Ross County St Mirren called off this morning, Aberdeen Dundee yesterday, and St Johnstone Motherwell in the same boat, no pun intended. So those games are off. You've got your 3 featured matches. We've given you team news. We'll take a look back at the week's biggest talking points next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Oh, that looks good.
It's new, off the Subway series menu.
But you said menus are for yes men.
Well, I'd normally create my own, but this is a masterpiece.
Right.
Every now and then, two tasty foods combine to become even more delicious. Pizza, hot melted cheese sandwich, it defies labels.
If it defies labels, how am I meant to order one?
Oh, just ask for a Pizzaiola Submelt.
That makes sense.
Try the irresistibly cheesy range of hot press Submelts, part of the new series menu. There's now 2 ways to Subway.
Action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. We've got the top team. I usually say all around the grounds and I make it sound very dramatic. We only have 2 in the Premiership today and 1 in the Championship. Regular listeners will know, once we've given you team news, once we've previewed the games, we usually take a look at some of the week's biggest talking points. It was an international week that saw Scotland qualify. That was right last weekend, really. And it's been fairly quiet other than that one major story dominating Scottish football, and it has been the appointment of Philippe Clement. So feeding into what's going on today, I suppose let's bring in a couple of voices we've not heard on the subject. Fraser Wishart and David Friel. Just from the outset, I guess, Fraser, generally speaking, what have you made of the appointment in the days that have followed?
Well, I think his comments in the clip you played earlier, Gordon, were quite interesting, where he was saying that today's performance will not be the best that Rangers will have this season. So he's kind of trying to manage expectations, basically saying, listen, we are in a situation where they have to improve, but it's not going to happen overnight. And of course, being in the middle of October, it's 2.5 months to the transfer window. Rangers spent a lot of money in the summer, not even sure how much money they'll have to spend in January as well. So he's trying to just manage expectations. You know, he knows he's got to win games, he knows he's got to close that gap in Celtic and challenge at the top. But if he is going to play some free-flowing football, he's perhaps just saying to supporters, don't think it's going to happen overnight. And it'll be interesting to see how he lines up today. You know, the guys have named the team as well, and how likes of Lammers and Dessers, who can't be as bad as they've played. They've really had poor starts to the season, but they must be better players than that. So he's got to try and find a way of getting some confidence into them. I think you can see from Rangers' team in general, there's a lack of confidence. There's not been the intensity. You know, you don't feel as if they're dominating games and overpowering teams. So it's small things like that he'll have to bring in, is that confidence, is that intensity to their game as well. And if he does that, then the results will come and the fans will probably buy in. But I just thought he was trying to just buy himself a wee bit of time there by saying, listen, it'll take a wee bit of time. His way of playing football will probably be different from anybody else's, and he's got to find a way of getting a better performance out of these players.
We torture ourselves going round in circles on this stuff, David Friel, because we always say that we need time and patience, and then everyone acts like it's the first time anyone's ever said the phrase, and they say, you don't get time in Glasgow, and round we go.
Yeah, it's true, Gordon. I mean, you don't get time, because the last thing Philippe Clement wants when he comes in is to lose any more ground than Celtic. But I think the Rangers fans, and certainly the Rangers board, are going to cut him a bit of slack, certainly in the first period. I just think he's got a great opportunity. If you take away the league, I think the Viaplay Cup is huge for him. You know, what a start he could get off to there. 2 games away from winning it, no Celtic in the competition. It looks like a really, really good chance for Rangers. And then beyond that, I think it's just up to him to put his stamp on the team and the squad and everything else. You know, I don't think, when you looked at the runners and riders, Gordon, in terms of Rangers looking for a boss, I don't think there was an outstanding candidate that just immediately sprang to mind. But what I do think is, the more you looked into Philippe Clement's background, that Rangers needed a winner. They needed somebody with experience, and they needed somebody who can manage and can get the best out of the squad, because they gave Michael Beale the keys to the till in the summer. He went and signed 9 or 10 players, if you add in 3 in the January before that. So Philippe Clement, for the first period anyway, maybe until next summer, is going to have to work with someone else's players. So he's going to have to try and get the best out of them. Rangers are also still in Europe. If you look at it, I think he's got over 50 European games under his belt as a manager. So this is a guy who has experience. He's won titles in Belgium. So I think throw everything together, I think it's a sound appointment. I think it's a sensible appointment, but he does have to be given time, because otherwise Rangers are just going to go round in circles again, sacking managers and appointing new ones.
Yeah, it's been quite the first week. Philippe Clement has had a lot to say because he's been interviewed a number of times, as Hugh Keevins alluded to. What do you make of the kind of character? I feel like David Friel, Michael Beale was often criticised for being sort of too open and saying too much. If you like, Philippe Clement, does he seem a bit different?
Probably slightly different, but he's got a good turn of phrase. There's been some really good lines, really interesting. And I also don't think he'll mind the spotlight, Gordon. If you look at his social media presence, I know he was asked about social media in terms of Todd Cantwell and everything yesterday, but he's got his own logo. I mean, I think he had his own social media team following him around in his first day as Rangers boss. He put something out on Instagram the other day. So this isn't a guy who is going to shy away from that sort of stuff. I think he'll allow his players to do it, and I think he doesn't mind the spotlight either. I watched a few interviews from his time in Monaco. It was access all areas stuff. An interesting guy. So, I don't think he may be quite as open as Michael Beale, but I certainly don't think he'll shirk away from the spotlight at all.
Yeah, he did actually say yesterday, one of the lesser important things to come out of the press conference is that he's got a guy that does his social media for him and then he'll check it. But just for the avoidance of doubt, Shinjuku Shug is his authentic self. Every word tweeted on that account is from your very fingertips. Yes?
Yes.
Good.
But I don't mind the manager having a social media account, but I don't think he'll keep it for very long now that he's here in Scotland. I find him a very interesting man. Michael Beale was a goner on the day he lost to Celtic on September the 3rd. He was the proverbial dead man walking, and such is the nature of the city. And you have to go back to that last game 2 weeks ago before the international break. Final whistle goes at Ibrox. A storm of booing. Half the crowd have already gone home, disgusted by Rangers losing 3-1 to Aberdeen. The club is in serious need of a pick-me-up. And this guy, Clement, looks like a serious man for serious times. As David Friel said, he's got the backstory in Belgium. And those 3 title wins are not to be dismissed as it was only in Belgium. Belgium's better than here. So I look forward to what he will do, but I also look forward to what Nick Montgomery will bring to the table this afternoon. I think it's a terrific match and prospect, and it's great. There's no danger of Hibs parking any buses. Lafondra, Dylan Venti, Martin Boyle, Ellie Ewan. Nick Montgomery has come to win. Absolutely to win. And as I said to you last night in the programme, Gordon, in the words of General Douglas MacArthur, there is no substitute for victory. And that has to be the motto.
That's funny because Gordon Dale's always quoting General Douglas MacArthur.
I thought so, yeah.
To me, so it's funny that you've got on board with it as well. He made a backroom appointment this week. Of course, Philippe Clement. Stefan van der Heyden is in as the number 2. Alex Rae and Stephen Davis are there for now. He's made no secret of the fact he does want to maintain a local presence in the coaching team. Roger Hanna, what do you make of the way that has developed so far and how you think it will continue to?
I think he's just taking his time, isn't he? I think he wants to assess everyone. I saw pictures of him in the training ground with Stevie Smith, another member of the backroom team this week. So there's no rush. There shouldn't be a rush for Philippe Clement to make any decisions. He'll take his time. He'll see what all the coaches bring to the party, and he might keep them all, or he might just keep some. Andrew McLean was asking me off here what I'd made of them so far, Gordon. I said it's still very much a honeymoon period. But that honeymoon could end in the next 90 minutes because, as we say, as Hugh was saying, Hibs have come here to play, and you can make an argument that Hibs front 4 of Boyle, Venta, Lafondra and Ewan is probably in better form and more dangerous than the Rangers front 4 this afternoon. So we're looking forward to seeing what Philippe Clement brings. We're very much looking forward to this game of football.
Do you hear that? They two actually talk about football off air. Two very serious football men,
right,
much like you two in the studio.
Like me and Wilson.
Rather than who's going to the bingo tonight,
we've got a tactical board
who's going to the bingo tonight, who's watching Rooney v Vardy or whatever it is.
They were discussing chocolate bars earlier the two.
All important points. Football comes bottom of the list. Sorry, I thought Roger Hanna was. It was probably going to be some smart comment. It's probably for the best I keep it down because you'll just get offended.
You're going to criticise me.
I think he probably was. Here's another interesting issue, and I say that because it clearly means a lot to the fans. It doesn't sound like Philippe Clement or James Tavernier, for that matter, did think it was going to be an issue, but he was asked about the captaincy and whether James Tavernier would remain. captain in light of some criticism from certain elements of the support?
I don't see a reason for the moment to change those things. I think I need to focus on many others for the moment, and step by step looking what is the best story for the club, but I don't see a reason for the moment to change that now.
It's something that I don't really think of. Obviously, appreciate from the gaffer, but yeah, I'm just here as first and foremost as a squad player to try and make this team better. Obviously, I've got the responsibility as the captain, and I'll try to do my utmost and my best all the time. And yeah, it's something I'll always try to improve, and as a person and as a player, and yeah, just got to keep moving forward. I tend not to look at social media. I've got 3 kids, so I'm very busy at home, and yeah, I've never really been affected by social media. Everyone has the comments. Everyone's entitled to comments, but it's down to me as a person to look at myself and know where I'm going wrong and how to improve myself. It's been the way I've been brought up, always with a strong mind, especially coming from my mum. And yeah, just keep moving forward and never really listen to the noise outside.
Genuinely just doesn't sound like that was ever on James Tavernier's radar, Fraser or Philippe Clement. But I suppose when you are a fan and you go to the games and you spend your life on social media, listening to radio phone-ins, for example, you might think that this Tavernier captaincy issue is this big deal, and it might be something that the new manager comes and changes, but clearly doesn't look like that was ever going to be the case.
Yeah, I sometimes think we make too much of a captain. Supporters like a captain to go and kick somebody or shout and ball and be screaming at teammates. And being a good captain is almost just, if you win a trophy, you are a good captain, and it might not be that. You look at guys like Callum McGregor, who's somebody who has an influence on Celtic, huge influence, hugely respected by the players. He's not somebody you see shouting and ball, and you see him in a quiet word, with people, and he's been very successful. So I think sometimes we make far too much of it. I know that James Tavernier is hugely respected by his teammates, which is a good start, and quite often it's things that you do off the park. Now, if you, let's just say they took the captaincy of James Tavernier and gave it to Connor Goldson, would that make any difference? Connor Goldson's somebody who is a different character anyway. He shouts and balls, and he grabs people, and he tries to motivate his teammates anyway. So what difference would that make to the team? Would it make Connor Goldson a different character? No. Would it make the team better? I don't think so. Sometimes I think we just make too much of it, and we always look for reasons. When your team's not playing well, it's a reason. It's the captain's no shouting, he's no grabbing teammates by the scruff of the neck. It's the manager's no screaming and shouting from the edge of from the sidelines. And usually it's a bit more than that. So I think sometimes Philippe Clement was maybe looking at it a bit puzzled, because I know foreign players I played with and foreign players I speak to as well, they're kind of bemused sometimes by how much we make of being a captain. But in the end, it's just about going out in the 90 minutes and winning the game today, and getting Rangers a bit of time and getting Philippe Clement off to a good start. That's what matters today, not whether James Tavernier's wearing the armband or not.
Hugh, it's one of those topics. See, if I got to 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I thought this has been a dreadfully quiet day in Scottish football, I've got no idea what we'll talk about tonight on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. I could very easily say at 2 minutes past 6, come on then, is James Tavernier a suitable Rangers captain? And the phone lines would be chock-a-block until 8 o'clock. I never have to do it, because every night, every second night, somebody wants to phone in either way to have their say on that subject.
When we talk about social media, never mind social media. Think of Super Scoreboard and think of the night the caller said Tavernier should get back in his Lamborghini and drive home to England. And I was taken aback by the call. I thought, it's one thing to say Tavernier's not a very good player or not an inspirational captain, but when you start to pick on personal things, in other words, in the fans' mind, he gets so much money, he's got a Lamborghini, and he's hopeless. For me, the criticism of Tavernier has been so far over the top, it's incredible. And people go on, he only scores penalties. Well, I think we have evidence that 53 of his goals for Rangers were not penalties. And I think that in their disappointment, having lost 3 league games already, the most important being the one against Celtic, I think the fans just take someone and he's the scapegoat. And I think at the moment at Rangers, there are probably 2, Tavernier and Dessers. But the criticism of Tavernier, for me, is wholly unjustified.
I can't disagree with that. I've said it time and time again. I'm a Tavernier supporter. I like what he brings. I think he would always be in my team. I think he's a threat. Yes, you can look at his weaknesses about defending, but you could probably pick a weakness in every player that's going about. Whether you believe that he's a captain, that leader, I think Fraser makes great points there about, there's different characters out there. Everybody plays their part. We don't know what Tavernier's doing Monday to Friday, for instance, in that dressing room, on that training ground. There's so much more to being a captain than just, heads or tails at 3 o'clock and then shouting and bawling your way through a football game. So I don't make a big deal of Tavernier thing. I can't understand why Rangers supporters do. If Tavernier wasn't playing very well and producing, now I know he's not probably had his best start to the season, but he still contributes. He's still a threat, he's still a danger, and I think he's still a number one pick.
I think Tavernier's problem is when you're captain of the football club, you're the spokesperson for the dressing room, and you are the bridge between the team and the manager, and sometimes the board when you have to negotiate bonuses and so on and so forth, things like that. That's a huge role. But you're also a spokesperson for the club, and people remember what you say, particularly when things don't go right. And I think that's maybe what's let James Tavernier down. Some of the things he said after big defeats and big disappointments has not sat well with the Rangers fans. Now, I think that is unfair, but that's just the role of the captain. Rangers fans don't think he's saying the right things, and social media nowadays, he gets criticised time and time again, and it's snowballed into something it should never have become.
Just for clarity, from your own right back experience, is 53 non-penalty goals good? Is that a good return?
It's alright. It's okay. Aye, a few more years at Dumbarton, I might have equalled that.
Anyway, let's park that for now, because there will be plenty more to come from Ibrox throughout the afternoon and early evening as the Philippe Clement era gets underway. We've already given you the team news from our 3 featured matches. We'll go back around a couple of the grounds next and finish off by building up to kick off at Ibrox.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel and Hugh Keevins are in the studio. We've got 3 featured games for you. Just a recap, of course, I'm sure you've heard the news. Ross County St Mirren was called off earlier, and that joined St Johnstone, Motherwell and Aberdeen Dundee. There are various lower league fixtures off as well, as the wet and windy weather continues to batter certain parts of the country. We do have game on. Certainly no pitch issues on the artificial surface. No weather issues either down in Ayrshire for Kilmarnock against Livingston. And what a fascinating start to the season, Fraser, it's been for Kilmarnock. You look at the way they got off and running, beating Glasgow's Big Two in different competitions. Everyone then jumped to conclusions and had them in the top 6, and it was going to be a great season. And I'm not saying it won't be, but it's not been plain sailing since then.
No, it hasn't. I think I mentioned the lack of goals earlier on, Gordon. And you look at the home record Kilmarnock had last year. We talked about it all the time. It was brilliant. It kept them in the division in the end, because their away record was dreadful, but they haven't won in their last 4 home games, and I think that's been down to the goal scoring. Dan Armstrong was brilliant last year and scored a lot of goals for them. Marley Watkins chipped in with 1 or 2 earlier on this season, but Kyle Vassell as a striker, as a guy who leads the line, he's not a prolific goal scorer. So I think that's been the main problem for Derek, because they're strong at the back. They've got good players, and like some Mayo and Stuart Finlay, people like that as well as Robbie Dees, who's on the bench today, but good defenders, and they don't lose many goals. But that's been the biggest problem for Kilmarnock, is turning the game at the other end and being creative. So that's where the likes of Polworth coming back in today. Watkins is back in. They've got Dan Armstrong, they've got Kyle Vassell, so they've got 4 attacking players on the field of play, so they'll be looking to make the most of that.
Yeah, and you almost get fed up going over that old kind of cliche about, is this Livingston's year? We do it every year. I think still there was a few at the start of this campaign having a nibble on that logic, but certainly so far can't grumble. 10 points, 8 games, that's more than enough, that ratio, to keep you up in the sitting 6th at the moment.
Yeah, David's clever, David Martindale. We know when he speaks in the press conference as well, he tends to point out all the time about their budget and points out about their size of their squad, and then he points out about the injuries they've got. The injuries have cleared up, but what he doesn't say is he's actually got a decent squad of players, and we talk about the way they play, and they will play this way. They'll close the game down, they'll pressure the opponents, but when they get the ball, they have again got some good footballers. Anderson up front scoring goals. Like Nubly, they've got Mo Sangari makes good runs from midfield as well. Jason Holt. and he's got put in another 2 midfield players who aren't exactly hammer throwers. So Davy overplays it, and I think he plays everything down. But I think deep inside, I think he knows he's got a decent enough squad to stay in the Premier League this season. And if they win today, with Hearts playing tomorrow in the Motherwell game off, they jump at both those clubs into 4th place, which is incredible. But first and foremost, yeah, Livingston are a small club, yeah, they've got a small budget, but he's signed good players and good professionals. Michael Dillon, another one who's come in and settled in really well to give them that solidity at the back. So David downplays it. They've got a decent squad, and I think they'll certainly get at least a point today, and I think they might even sneak a winner.
And there's the stat that you never needed to know was that, I was looking through the Livy team there, Sean Kelly and him and Kelly and Mbappe both scoring penalties into Liam Kelly in the last 2 weeks or so. But Livy just keep plugging away.
Well, Philippe Clement says he's not Harry Potter. That's because Davy Martindale is Harry Potter. I don't believe that Livy will ever go down as long as Davy Martindale is the manager of the club. There you are.
Well, you've just given them kiss of death knowing your recent record. But it's an interesting fixture, that, Gordon, because it's not that early in the season anymore. I feel like we've got a good amount of fixtures under the belt, but there is still a kind of bunched up nature to the table, certain parts of it, and win for Livy today would do them wonders, and a win for Kelly today, kind of puts all those previous week's frustrations to bed to an extent.
It could be a massive day for Livingston. Obviously, postponements that could leapfrog them into 4th. What a confidence booster that is. But for Kilmarnock, home game on a poor run, obviously got off to a great start to season. Everybody quite rightly praised them for. Looked good at one point. They've got a good squad. They've got a big squad. They've got a good manager, experienced manager. I think the Kelly fans are expecting a bit more down there. I think this is a big game for Derek this afternoon. He needs to get the 3 points, because if he doesn't, 9 played, 7 points, that ain't good enough.
I think Marley Watkins coming back in for them today is a big one. I think he's a real plus point. He started the season well, but with Vassell, Fraser's never a known goal scorer. Yep, he will pull his weight up there and he'll hold the ball in, but you need goals at the top end of the pitch, and maybe Watkins can bring that. But Livingston, I mean, incredibly consistent. At their last 6 games, I think it's only Rangers and Celtic that have beat them. A couple of draws in there, and they beat Motherwell, didn't they, the last game? So, I mean, Davy Martindale's got this talent to get this consistency out his side. Really tough to play against, almost a fear factor from his players to let him down. And that's what you need when you're at a club like Livingston. You need players to run through a brick wall for you, and he's got a squad that's prepared to do that.
I wonder if he went somewhere else, if he would fail spectacularly. But while he's at Livingston, he can do no wrong. It's ludicrous that Livy are as high up the division consistently as they are. They have no fan base to speak of. They have no budget to speak of. They're just run by wee Harry Potter.
Just out of curiosity, something that sprung to mind randomly there for me, Mark. Are we allowed to reveal where your new job is yet? No, still no. Still
apparently they're going to do the big reveal. Remember who was it? Villarreal boy. You remember he came at the
Santi
Cazorla with the smoke and things like that. I think it's something like that.
I'll reveal it.
By the way, somebody did see me though in Lidl yesterday
with the tracksuit
and shouted, "Is that your new job? Well done!" So it's not that big a secret.
Oh well, let's go to our featured championship game between Partick Thistle and Dundee United. David Friel is keeping an eye on that one. David, what have you made of the championship so far this season? I think, on paper it should be Dundee United's, and everyone's expecting that to happen. There's not really much to suggest that they're going to struggle so far.
No, not at all. Look, it should be United's title if you just look at the team and the way Jim Goodwin's recruited during the summer. Declan Gallagher, as we spoke earlier on, Ross Dockett, Kevin Holt, still got Tony Watt, Louis Moult, Glenn Middleton. They're guys who probably shouldn't be playing at this level, but look, it's going to be fascinating as always. I always feel with the championship that a team will come from nowhere, and if you actually look at the table just now, Queen's Park struggling a bit, but still not too far off Dundee United. Then you've got Raith Rovers, a bit of investment behind them. They're right up there in second place. But Partick Thistle, I must admit, I felt last season after what happened in the playoff final against Ross County, Thistle had probably missed their chance. They obviously lost so many players during the summer, sort of spine of their team was ripped out. But Chris Doolan, in fairness to him, he's gone and rebuilt a side with a really good start to the season. As I said earlier on, win this game, they'll go in second behind Dundee United, only a point behind them. So I think it's still open. If you ask me right now, I think United will win the title, but I think it could go all the way.
Yeah, of course, they've got the league's top scorer in show as well, Brian Graham, 5 goals already for Partick Thistle. Callum Gallagher not far behind. He scored last night, Airdrie, drawing with Queen's Park. Jack Turner cancelling out that opener from Callum Gallagher. So we have had some action in the Championship already, but I think Saturday afternoon, that's when it really feels like the football is back after the international break, and kick off around the grounds and particularly at Ibrox is next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Kick-off is just minutes away in the games that have survived the weather around the country. Rangers against Hibs, with a big focus under any circumstance, but particularly given it is day one in the games for Philippe Clement. Let's go there and speak to Roger Hanna and Andrew McLean.
Yeah, well, despite those weather warnings, Philippe Clement will be walking out that tunnel to sunshine in Glasgow here at Ibrox at the moment, and he'll also be walking out to a display from the Rangers supporters in the Broomloan Road stand. They've got blue, red and white flags, and it says everything from everyone. That is exactly what they want to see from this team. They want to see absolutely nothing left out there. They want to see every player giving 100% effort, and at the end of this game they want to see all 3 points and a successful performance under their new manager. It is an expectant crowd here that's packed out Ibrox. A good away support from Hibs as well. They want to see those Rangers fans, the early signs under Philippe Clement that he's the man to turn things around and find success at the club. As for the starting lineup he's picked for this game, as we wait for the players to make their way out the tunnel, he continues with Jack Butland in goal. It's a back four of James Tavernier, Connor Golton, John Suter and Borna Barisic. The two holding midfielders, John Lundstrom and Nicholas Raskin. It's Scott Wright and Abdallah Sima as the wingers, Sam Lammers in behind Cyril Dessos. The substitutes, McCrory, Yilmaz, Jack, Cantwell, Roof, Davies, Balogun, McCausland and Danilo. As for Hibs, David Marshall in goal for them. The back four, Lewis Miller, Paul Hanlon, Will Fish and Jordan Abita. Across the middle, Martin Boyle, Joe Newell, Jimmy Jego and Ellie Ewan. Adam Lafondra and Dylan Venta are the strike partnership. The substitutes, Wallacott, Levitt, Stevenson, Dodge, Del Ferrier, Yair, Campbell, Bashiri and Whitaker. The referee, Don Robertson. The VAR, Gavin Duncan. And the players are now making their way out the tunnel. Next to me, Roger Hanna. The supporters, it's an expectant crowd here at Ibrox. I know that Philippe Clement has wanted to limit the expectations ahead of this game, but they know what they want to see from this team today.
It's impossible to limit the expectation of the Rangers fans this afternoon. A huge day for Philippe Clement and a huge day for many of these Rangers players. He's picked his first Rangers team there is. It's Suter, not Davis. It's Barisic, not Yilmaz. And of course that front four, that's where all the attention will go, Andrew. A front four of Dessers, Lammers, Wright and Sima. Abdallah Sima's actually been a success, 5 in his last 6 games for Rangers, but the others have been unmitigated failures. Dessers, 3 goals in 15 games. Lammers, 1 goal in 16 games. Wright sent off in his last game here against Aberdeen. They need to produce more this afternoon.
Yeah, the players just lining up with their red cards, showing racism, the red card, and the continued fight against racism. And the display still up on the left side as well. Philippe Clement is now out there. He's sitting in the dugout as well. What do you think will be going through the mind of the new Rangers manager at the moment?
He will be as excited as anyone this afternoon. This is a big day for him, as we say. He will know that Rangers can't afford any slip-ups. In the Premiership title is already 7 points behind Celtic, who have already won here this season, Andrew. He will know the importance of this game. He will know the importance of getting more out of the players who effectively cost Michael Beale's job. He will be as excited as anyone in this stadium.
And it won't be an easy task either, because Mick Montgomery is unbeaten in 5 as Hibs manager. And you look at that front four, Roger, as well. There's the pace, the danger in the wide areas of Martin Boyle and Ellie Ewan. And then up front, Adam Lafondra and Dylan Venta have both proven they can score goals. They'll want to spoil this welcome party for Philippe Clement.
They definitely will. And Nick Montgomery will want to continue his honeymoon period as a Hibernian manager. He's been a success so far. They came from 2 goals down to get a draw last time out against Hearts at Tynecastle in the Edinburgh Derby. And there are no concessions from him for coming to Ibrox for the first time as Hibs boss. It is Boyle, Venta, Lafondra, Ewan, as you say. And Martin Boyle will know he can get success against Rangers. He's done it before. And Boyle against Barisic will be one of several really fascinating individual contests this afternoon.
Well, the Rangers players just taking their tracksuit tops off, running in opposite directions, giving that applause to the supporters. And not only do they need to prove themselves to the supporters, they've got a big job on their hands of proving themselves to Philippe Clement, who, you know, he's a serious character. He's a man that you think they'll be desperate to try and prove their worth to.
Of course they will, and there's so many of these Rangers players do have questions to answer. They discussed in the show earlier on about James Tavernier retaining the captaincy. I think it's a correct decision by Philippe Clement. I think there was more to be lost than gained if he had stripped Tavernier of the captaincy. He will know that he's due a big performance. You look right the way through the team. I thought Lundstrom and Raskin in centre mid looked better in the win at St Mirren a couple of weeks ago when Stephen Davis was in charge of the side. Sima is coming on to a game, you know, I think he's now get up to 7 for the season. That's not a bad return for someone who's not like Dessers, a central figure. Big day for Rangers, big day for Philippe Clement.
Well, referee Don Robertson has given the ball to Cyril Dessers. He has sounded his whistle, and Philippe Clement's first game in charge of Rangers is underway.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Flu season has arrived. Make sure you're protected this winter.
The international break was a successful one. Scotland qualified for the Euros, but it does feel like ages ago since we were in here on a Saturday afternoon talking you through the football, which we absolutely love. We genuinely do. So stay in touch all afternoon on Twitter at Clyde SSB, and I'll give you the nod when you can get your phone calls in. Even you three hopeless duds must have a chance of getting the ACCA right this afternoon. You've only got 3 games. Come on.
I've got one home, that's Rangers against Hibs.
Okay.
I've got one draw, that's Kilmarnock against Harry Potter. And an away, Dundee United to beat Harry Rags.
Rangers to win, draw at the other 2 grounds.
Gordon Dalziel.
I'm going Rangers Hibs draw.
Oh, what a big shout that is.
Yeah. I'm going Kilmarnock home win, and I'm going Partick Thistle Dundee United an away win.
Philippe Clement to drop points in his first game.
I just think that I'm impressed with the Hibs lineup. I think they can cause problems. The manager's come out himself and said that, look, don't expect miracles here. You can't turn this team into world beaters after 4 or 5 days. Don't get me wrong, Hibs have not got a great record there, but I like their attacking style. I think they'll score.
Corner to Rangers early on. Mark Wilson.
Fancy Rangers.
You fancy the home side though?
I do. Listen, I think a new manager coming in obviously gives you a lift. I think those players will be desperate to prove that they should be at Rangers, they should remain at Rangers, and I think today's the perfect opportunity for some of them to step up. I mean, big day for guys like Dessers up front, who, look, he's carrying a lot of pressure on his shoulders at this minute. Imagine he gets a goal, how that would set him up for a new era.
Forget the pressure from the fans. There is extreme pressure in this studio, because there was a bit of a deal struck during the previous break. Mark Wilson thinks that Dessers will score today. You do not share that confidence.
No.
So much so, what's the offer? What's the bet? Please gamble responsibly.
Coffee for a month, which is a lot of walking about.
You will make Mark's coffee for a month,
and he makes mine.
So you're backing Dessers to not score, and Mark thinks he will score.
Roger Hanna taught me something a long time ago in this show, and he said the truer words I've ever heard in my life: you can put lipstick in a pig, but it's still a pig. So I've stood by that Roger Hanna quote for all these years.
I think you're better off with General Douglas MacArthur, really.
Let's stick that. I don't even want to think about that.
Poor Dessers.
What is meant by that? I don't care. I don't think he's suited to Rangers Football Club. That's what I mean.
I think you could have put it like that rather than the other comparison.
What I will say is, I generally have no care really as to whether Dessers does or doesn't score. However, you are the laziest, most selfish, reluctant coffee maker I've ever come across. So if he does happen to score and you have to pay your debts,
I will pay.
What will happen is he'll deny having said it.
Except
it's out there. It's out there. And I am going to drink an obscene amount of coffee for the next month if this comes in.
Shug, if I won, he'll get his 10,000 steps in.
Philippe Clement's been involved early on. He's almost done a Derek McInnes.
Wow.
He's sort of stopped the ball, like a bit of contention as to whether the ball had gone out or not. And Philippe Clement's on the touchline, taking a wee touch each once involved.
Adrenaline, they'll be running high with them. We'll be.
Throw in goes to Rangers
nervous.
anyway.
I've never been to a Belgian league match, but I'm willing to bet that Club Brugge against Genk isn't like this.
Ooh, don't know. I think there'll be a few feisty ones over there.
Well,
no, there will be.
I mean, imagine if the man did lose today and Celtic won tomorrow. 10 points clear, and we're not into double figures yet. I mean, that's the kind of pressure that he's living under. So he had better win today.
He'll not have that on his shoulders today, though, Hugh. I mean, I get he'll be nervous, the adrenaline will be there, but today, what can the Rangers fans really expect? I think he was right in saying and pointing out and being realistic with everybody. 5 days to work with the players. What are you going to implement in
I'm
that?
just saying the best case scenario is Rangers win, Celtic lose tomorrow. The worst case scenario, Rangers lose today, Celtic win tomorrow. 10 points, you've been in the job for 90 minutes and you're 10 points behind Celtic. It'll be mayhem.
Yeah, you're 3 though on your watch, I suppose. Goals going in down the league's Bonnie Rig Rose 1, Clyde 0, Taylor Sutherland with the goal, Stirling Albion 0, Falkirk 1, Ross McKeever with the goal there. And that's your lot in Scotland so far. Games in England, they'll keep a loose eye on. Don't have to tell you every last kick, but there we go. Newcastle are 1 up if you do care about that one. No further updates from Ibrox. Stephen Lawless has sliced a shot wide. Open start in that one, our featured championship game. Are you ready for this, Hugh?
I am.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
In honour of the newest managerial appointment in the SPFL, this question is Belgium related. 6 Belgians have played for Celtic or Rangers since 2014. Who are they? 6 Belgians have played for either Celtic or Rangers since 2014. Name them.
I like it. It's straightforward. I don't know how easy the answers will be. Let's find out at Clyde SSB. We're looking for one tweet with all of the correct answers on it, and to win the first half teaser you have to do it quicker than everyone else. So tweet them over to us now please at Clyde SSB, and let's see how we get on. I'm interested to see how you do, because there are some obvious ones, but my goodness, there are some obscure ones on there as well, it has to be said.
I don't think we're going to do very well this week.
No, I've sort of switched off already. It's not a question that floats my boat.
Well, Mark Wilson's got 2 already.
Oh, yes.
No, Mark Wilson and Gordon Dalziel, because I gave him the second one.
Oh, was there a coffee in it?
Lammers with a shot from the edge of the box. It's deflected wide for a corner. I even like Mark, any team when they change their manager, things like set pieces, you know, do you see something different as an a different taker, a particularly different setup? Because these would be the things that you could expect to see different on day one.
I believe so. I mean, often teams will work in their set plays probably on a Thursday or last minute on a Friday, and you've got time just to walk through things. So that would be an opportunity if he comes in with fresh ideas that he would be able to put in place. And the players, like, if they get a set piece wrong or they're just out, then it's no big travesty. So it'll be interesting to see if there are things put in place, especially with the assistant manager coming in this week as well. So often name it has the ideas.
There's got to be 1 or 2 different things. You can't just go out and say same again, lads. You're in to start to hit the ground running. You're going to, look, he's not going to change everything overnight, of course he's not, but you're looking for small things that the Rangers fans that went along in huge numbers this afternoon, they'll be looking for an improvement.
Yeah, first 2 have been Tavernier outswingers, so nothing entirely different in that regard, but I suppose really you're looking for the movements inside the box and the position of the players and so on. Who was the most adventurous set piece manager you had, Mark Wilson? Anyone come up with anything particularly out there?
No.
Great, good. That's good, that conversation.
Because more football's evolved, I think set pieces have become.
No, but I remember teams in your era still doing like the train, sort of like holding on to each other and then all splitting off at the edge of the box.
Listen, done like that. I wouldn't class that as adventurous. That's just
Were you the
I remember
driver?
I told you the set piece against where I was the draft excluder at Dundee United. I've been them at Dundee United.
Tell you what, they must have been ahead of their time, because I feel like I only noticed the draft excluder in the last couple of
I
seasons.
think I was Ian McCall. I think partner maybe.
What way did you like to your back to the ball?
That's a great point.
Right? Or
what side does your head go to?
Yeah.
And how do you
Do you
decide
look at
that?
the goalkeeper, or do you look at?
My head was in the grass. I was just thinking, please put this over the wall.
No, seriously, right. Firstly, do you look at the ball or do you look at the
Oh,
goalie?
not a chance. Look at the goalie.
Right, and is your head to the left or to the right? What way do your feet
I don't
point?
know. Surely there's a photographer out there
And
that's
do
got
you-
some action.
Do you mix it up?
Well, I think I was only fortunate enough to do it once or twice.
I would be insulted if a manager came and said, "I've got a new role for you."
Listen,
You'd be thinking, "Oh, captain."
I've got to be
leader of the
honest,
men."
I was insulted. I was thinking, why has he chose me?
What does Austin McPhee do all week? You know, he's actually the
Yeah.
set play coach. But do you just sit there all week thinking, wait, if I put him there and put him
Exactly.
there?
Big business. Liverpool. Remember, Liverpool had a throw-in coach
Right.
a couple of seasons ago. Anyway, Jack Butland's actually had to make a save. Venti with a shot, it was kind of bounced up on the angle, so he caught it easily. Sima was in the box a bit before that, but he couldn't quite control it, and now Barisic is down injured. So busy start at Ibrox, but we do have one of these. We've not had to wait long.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1, and it's Craig Sibbald. Eventually from a corner it made its way to him, no one really marking him. He took a touch, shot through some bodies, and that always makes it tricky for the goalkeeper. It is in the back of the net, and Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1 is the latest.
For me, there's always a serious point to be made about Dundee United. If they don't get out of that division this season, they're in bother. Because a club of their size, who spend the money that they do, they can't afford to be in the Championship year after year. So, you know, it's additional pressure on Jim Goodwin, but that's the way it goes. He needs to get out of that division.
Philippe Clement must be tearing.
Barisic
he
off.
can't tear his hair out. But Barisic has gone off injured, we think. Yilmaz is getting ready. It looks like a thigh, a quad problem. This just
a Martin Boyle in front of him problem.
Well,
he looks lively.
I'll let you make those accusations. But it was interesting because a large part of Philippe Clement's press conference yesterday focused on
fitness,
updating people who was back and who wasn't. And he said, you know, that medical teams at his clubs are always very surprised at how interested he is. He says he wants to know every detail. He wants to change training to make Rangers less susceptible to injuries. He wants to work more with players on an individual basis so that they can stay fitter. Naturally, injuries are going to happen, but you know, Rangers have had a ridiculous amount of injuries this season. And he also said, like a lot of managers do when they come in, that the team wasn't fit enough.
Hate that.
Always wonder what the old manager thinks.
I think it's a cheap shot.
How many times have we heard that?
Well, almost all the time. You know, and I think it's just an easy line to get fans.
What if he's right?
Well, keep it in house and work the players in house.
I'd have a look at my fitness coaches and I'd be asking what they were doing in their jobs if they weren't fit enough. You're talking about what?
A year of Michael Beale.
Nearly end of October, and you're questioning players are fit. Look, I don't know if he meant it in that way, but he's obviously want to be in control of that as well. I like that. I don't think Barisic going off today is anything to do with fitness, is it? He's obviously maybe tweaked a muscle or whatever.
I like that though about him taking an interest in injuries and wanting to adapt training to make them less susceptible to injuries. It shows a manager a great detail rather than just tell me who I've got that are coming on the training field who's fit and I'll get on with that and you do your job. It shows he's a proper manager of the full football club, not just a head coach who's going to coach the players there. So Rangers fans will obviously hope that it makes some impact. Not much you can do about Barisic today, he's only in the door, but it'll be interesting to hear the feedback. You know, things always dribble through to us about how the load is different then at the Rangers training ground to what it was under Michael Beale.
A long discussion between Barisic and Philippe Clement as he goes off. So Rangers just one injury after another, it seems like, at the moment. Gordon Dalziel.
Yeah, not good news, especially your home debut. You want to go off to a good start. He's picked Barisic over Yilmaz, but what it does is it gives Yilmaz an early chance to come on and prove a point to him.
Yeah, I think there's undeniably, Hugh, Rangers fans, I don't know how many, who would like to see Yilmaz rather than Barisic.
Yeah,
so.
of course. Because much as Tavernier gets a lot of criticism, Barisic, he's been associated with failure for too long for some Rangers supporters. They think that he's one of the guys who should have made things look better than they are. A club with 2 trophies in 12 years. But Yilmaz, in the latter days of Michael Beale, was doing well.
Lewis Miller's long throw causes havoc in the Rangers box. It bounces around, but eventually Jack Butland is able to gather. So no goals yet in that one. No goals in our other Premiership offering, which is Kilmarnock against Livy, but we do have one in our Championship game. Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1. Other goals going in down the divisions: Alloa 0, Kelty 1, Reese Lyon. I did see a goal in the Dunfermline Ayr game, I'm sure of it. Let me double check that one. Hugh, the Seagulls, 1-0 down at City.
You're not going to beat City, mate.
No. But it's just as well because
City have took revenge for the day that Brighton ended my English career with.
My grandson has gone to Portugal on a school trip. So
goal at Rugby Park.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it is a goal for the home side. Kilmarnock 1, Livingston 0. Last season's top scorer, last season's main man, Dan Armstrong, has opened the scoring. Exactly what Derek McInnes and the Kilmarnock fans wanted. A low shot, 12 yards out, round about maybe 18 minutes or so on the clock. It's a good start for Killie. They are a goal to the good.
Well, as the Dazzler pointed out earlier, 7 points from a possible 24 isn't the best. So Derek McInnes is in need of a result today. The season started in unbelievable fashion, beating Rangers on the opening day of the league, putting Celtic out of the Viaplayer Cup, but it's gone flat since then, and this has to be the beginning of the road back.
Yep, 12 goals last season, and certainly Killie are going to need him to come up with a fair few this season. Derek McInnes certainly needs it this afternoon. I like him, he's a good player, he's direct. Daz thinks he holds on to the ball too much, but I like that. He's got plenty of confidence about him.
Look, I like the boy as well. I think he offers a lot to Kilmarnock. Sometimes he would frustrate me as a centre forward. I think that he just takes that extra touch, but he's certainly got ability and he scores goals.
Goal at Ibrox. Is it a first goal under Philippe Clement, or has it gone the other way?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
And it is for Rangers. It's Sima drilled low cross the goal with his right foot into the back of the net. He is the one new signing that has contributed in terms of numbers, no doubt about that whatsoever. And he's scored again to make Philippe Clement a happy man. A good start for him, and Rangers are 1 goal to the good.
Well, that had to be the start for Rangers. They had to score the first goal, because had Hibs scored, Ibrox would have been on fire. But the supporters will appreciate team selection first and foremost, that puts Sima in from the start, and he does have an undeniable eye for goal, and that calms everything down for Clement and everyone around him.
I've got to say he's been a success. I said the other night it was only Butland, Cantwell, Raskin from Michael Beale, but Sima has been the kind of shining light out of the front players.
It's easy, I think, Gordon, to have everyone lumped in, but that's his 8th of the season, and it's also it's 5 games in a row. Of course, look, it's a bigger picture. There's a team effort, and there has been a lot of doom and gloom around Rangers. But for any player to really go and score 5 games in a row, and in fact it would be 6 out of his last 7 games as well. It's only the Motherwell game that he's not scored in. Scored against Betis, missed Motherwell, scored against Livy, Aberdeen, Limassol, St Mirren. I suppose the problem is as well, two of them were disappointing results, but for him personally,
he justifies his selection this afternoon, no doubt about that. It's taken him a while to settle in, but he's now, he's get used to being at Rangers, the pressures that you've got, especially at Ibrox. He's starting to produce a good goals, bringing confidence. We've seen this before, and that's a terrific start for him. As you say, so far it's a terrific return, and the new Rangers manager will be delighted with the start.
Yeah, it just takes the pressure off. Had they gone a goal behind, we're back to the Aberdeen scenario of a fortnight ago, where the crowd are just in such a mood that they would be ready to leave the stadium if they don't like what's going on. But this calms everything down, and Hibs have to be careful now, because when they started against Hearts a fortnight ago, in the first half they did not get a foothold in the game at all. Hearts were 2 up. That's why Stephen Naismith was raging with his players for losing 2 in the space of 83 seconds in the second half. So Kenny Miller said it on Super Scoreboard last night. He felt that if Hibs played as they did against Hearts in the beginning, they might get pulled apart by Rangers.
Aaron Muirhead's been booked for pulling down Tony Watt. United seem a bit sharper than their opponents this afternoon, so Partick Thistle have a bit of sharpening up to do. Dundee United in the lead, and Erling Haaland has made it 2-0 to City against your Seagulls, Hugh, I'm afraid to say.
I won't text the boy in Portugal. I'll let him get on with the sunshine.
Yeah, I'm sure he will, to keep an eye on that one. Abdullah Sima, if you're just joining us, has opened the scoring for Rangers. A good finish, actually, it has to be said. And he does look quite confident in front of goal, Gordon. Yeah,
it's a terrific finish. I've just seen it on my phone there, Gordon. His pace just takes him away from the Hibs defenders. I think Dessers is involved in it, is it? And he just plays a lovely ball into him. He takes it away, kills the defenders with his pace. He's still got a lot to do, and he goes across the goalkeeper, no chance. Terrific start for him.
The problem that Rangers got is Seema's the lone player, and there's nothing, of course, wrong with that, but you hope your permanent signings would have the impact that Seema's having.
It's also a very negative spin on things at this stage. You maybe deal with that later. You praise the guy's goal first.
Oh no, I've not got the luxury of a phone like Daz's, so.
And I certainly don't have a phone like that.
Yeah, I'll show you at half time, lads.
I think everyone should be happy they don't have a phone like his.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll share my
At least he changes that cover. Remember his old phone cover that he used to have? Wow.
I think
the bacteria on that thing.
If MD's listening out there in the phone shops, I think this one.
I actually think that one's on its last legs as well.
Yeah,
that shows how long we've been on this show together. I'm going to measure it by the number of phone covers you've gone through.
Certainly needing an upgrade. But I've got to say, I've watched it over again. What a terrific finish. Great pace, great bursty pace. I think manager loves that.
Mark Wilson, are you devastated it wasn't Dessers? Your coffee.
Listen, plenty of time. I didn't say first goal scorer.
Could have been
any
secure.
time goal scorer would do my coffee for the next month.
Do you know what I hope it's a real contentious one. Like, we don't really know who got the last touch.
But some arguments in
a bit
here.
of an inquiry.
Yeah, well, there was an inquiry before the kick-off because this guy said,
I know what's coming here,
that he was faster when he played than Martin Boyle.
Come on.
Which is one of the most ridiculous
nonsense.
They'll wipe the floor with.
You see, the minute they drop the conversation from chocolate bars and coffee and get into the football,
I used to do my spike work 3 times a week. Yeah, my spikes, rather than my boots, I had spikes, and a lot of people thought I just brought them the Saturday and put them on. I think Fraser
keeps bursting the ball.
My slide tackles were brilliant. I got up and the ball was stuck to my foot and then away.
There was no chance you were quicker than Martin Boyle.
Roger Hannah says you're not even faster than Susan Boyle.
No. I'm telling you now, you go and ask Stuarty Hogg that used to come in, and he was a sprint coach. He says that I could be the GBR vest within 3 months. I was lightning.
See, here's the thing, right? And I can't believe this is happening given the stick you give this guy. Fraser Wishart wants to stick up for you, and he says, to be fair, Daz was quick. I do not deny that. I don't doubt that. I believe that you were. I don't for a second believe you were as quick as Martin Boyle.
Why not? Well, hold on a minute, why not?
Because you're talking like quickest player in the league sort of level.
That's the quickest player at Rangers. But 100 miles. So why?
That is fast. You're right.
Why are you so convinced?
Because there's different levels.
Because I walk in here like.
It's actually nothing really.
I'm out of still game. What'd you call it? Winston. I walk in like Winston. I was never always a Winston.
This is what I'm saying. I believe you're quick, but I think Martin Boyle is entering that like elite level of pace.
I'll tell you how quick I was, right? And you can. I'll get somebody to verify this. Do you remember Alan Wells?
I do.
You beat him. Let me guess.
No. I get beat 8 yards with Alan Wells over 100 at Meadowbank Stadium.
8 yards. That's
8 yards is massive. I would have shortened that distance.
By the way, see the first 5. I looked round to see where he was, and then he sort of tired. I didn't have my protein shake.
Martin Boyle only lost by 6. Alan Wells.
There we go.
I tell you what, man, Boyle. I would have torn him apart with a ball.
Mind you,
With a
Alan
ball.
Wells was 53 at the time.
I'd have stuck one of
Not a
Roger's
chance.
headlines in my back so he could have read it while we were racing down the track.
It's amazing that he looks at today's football and thinks
100% better than the modern day.
I reckon,
Think of the skill factor in all pitches and all that.
like players in this day, I reckon just a
100%
bang
better.
average midfielder would have been as quick
Mark,
as you.
you ran about and made yourself look busy, mate. You were that bad you couldn't hold down the right back position. They put you at left back
But rather
just
than
to try you in different roles.
rather than you two insulting each other, right? Generally speaking, to see if you take athletics, right? Because that's all
Yeah.
measured. Since the 80s, people have just got progressively quicker. So does it not follow that footballers would have got progressively quicker?
I don't care what you're trying to argue here.
It's like, imagine
good
your old
response.
Passat and a new Passat out just now. Same car,
Nothing
I would have
to
been
do-
quicker.
It's nothing to do with that.
It is.
It's not.
Athletes have got progressively quicker since the 80s,
right,
haven't they?
but
It's
not
there, it's
everyone.
measured.
So you telling me that Hanlon could beat me over 50 yards?
No, but
well, there's your
I'm
argument
saying
gone.
that
What are you talking about?
the quickest player in the league now will be quicker than the quickest player in the league in
Well,
the 80s.
I would take my chances against Martin Boyle all day long.
I preferred it when they were talking about chocolate bars.
Well,
I can't believe you think you're as quick
Deluded.
as Martin Boyle.
Mark, you never seen me run.
I did. I watched you.
I was a whippet.
I saw you.
Mark had his measuring tape out in the TV to see what distance you covered
Aye.
at the specific
Listen,
time.
Listen, there's got to be some sports analyst out there or
Meadow-
something like that that could get an old video of him
I wish I could
and
get
track
a hold
him in
of
full
Stewie
speed.
Hogg. Stewie Hogg that's now up at, is it Peterhead? He's been there for years. He was a sprint coach. He took me along to Meadowbank to take on gold medalists. Not silver, not bronze.
Why did he take you along there?
Because I was that quick, they wanted to test me against that
sounds
gold
like a lie.
medalist. I didn't go off the
You're
gun.
not going to get in the team, son. So come along to Meadowbank with me, and we'll see.
if you can get your
Try
head,
this
can you? There's no ball involved in this one, Dazzler.
Anyway, Hugh, remind us of your teaser if you can.
Yes, in honour of Philippe Clement's arrival in Scotland from Belgium, there are 6 Belgians who have played for Celtic or Rangers since 2014. Who are they?
Don't forget, it's at Clyde SSB if you want to send your answers in. Most of them are kind of there or thereabouts. I'm not seeing anything terrible on the guesses, I must say. I think Moose is maybe off on his time frame. He's gone for Thomas Buffel.
Oh, many years ago.
Yeah, he was.
We're out on the time frame
put
there.
I put one in there, Hugh. I've not spelt it right. How do you spell that?
No, it's Volleyball and Golly, but he's not on the list.
No, mine was the one above Hugh. Why did you give that away?
You just had a Mark Wilson. Bolly is in the list. I've had a nightmare again.
Oh, would you hold on? Get the 8-second delay on Hugh. Nobody's heard it.
There we go.
Just
We'll give you that
talk
one
over
for
it.
free. Some other tweeters saying Hugh saying Yus Valharen.
Not there.
Again, time frames way off on that one. So keep your guesses coming at Clyde SSB. If anyone,
Hams to the best days, Hugh.
Oh, yeah.
if anyone can verify Gordon Dalziel's claim that he was quicker than Martin Boyle, I'll absolutely take that as well. Aidan Fitzpatrick's gone off injured. Firhill, Wes McDonald is on. It's a bit of a reshuffle there. Several Rangers chances in quick succession. One of those with the balls bouncing around. I think Wright and Raskin amongst those. It eventually goes wide, and now there is a VAR check for a potential handball. Philippe Clement's first since arriving. I think Hibs feel that the hand was close enough to the side. I think it was maybe Joe Newell, and it is play on. So there we go.
Well, anyway, it's very positive from Rangers' perspective. I know that Jack Butland has been called into action once or twice, but if you're Philippe Clement and you're dealing with players who were last seen being booed off the park a fortnight ago, then you have to be reasonably pleased with the progress of the game so far.
Quite simply have to take wins and move on until such if we're talking about 5 days in, how much of the style can you see? That argument gets a lot less scrutiny if you're on a 6-7 game winning run.
Yeah,
I think that's the most important. It's okay going, we've seen some small changes, but we lost this afternoon or we drew. It's all about winning and then build from there, because he's got the same players until January. He's got the luxury now that there's a few he's sort of a number one pick's probably coming back, the likes of Cantwell and people like that. So I think it's just a case of making sure you win first and foremost, and if you can add little bits to please the Rangers supporters, then move on.
Mean, if you take it step by step, the priority is to win today, reduce the gap between Celtic and Rangers to 4 points, and see how Celtic get on at Tynecastle tomorrow. Now, in actual fact, since Ange Postecoglou lost at Tynecastle in his very first game as Celtic manager, Celtic have beaten Hearts 9 times on the bounce since then. Scored 24 goals, lost 8.
I think only, what was it, 4 of them, 3 or 4
at Tynecastle. 4 at Tynecastle. But it does suggest a superiority exists.
Rangers in a pretty rigid 4-4-2 shape when off the ball, when pressing. So Lammers has gone up with Dessers. They're the two that are leading it, if you like. When Rangers are off the ball, Hibs are trying to sort of come back at it, but really it's Rangers that have had the most of the attacking play so far.
But you have to commend Nick Montgomery for coming with his team set out as they are. People go on, Celtic Rangers fans in particular, go on about teams who come to park the bus and they're fed up looking at it, but that's not Hibs' intention today.
The old 4-4-2 formation was banished, wasn't it? You know, don't see it that often. But
just off the ball though.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Hibs. I mean, when you've got winners like Yuan and Boyle, it's great playing them, but if you're the two centre midfielders, Diego and Newell, probably looking for a wee bit more help in there. You always run the risk of just being overrun when Rangers have the ball, but fair play to them, keeping 2 up front, going all out attack, trying to get at Rangers, but it's just not working for them this moment.
Can't believe they've had a bit of a support for you. Crazy Cat Man. The only person I can find supporting you is the Crazy Cat Man, so read into that what you want. He says, I remember the Dazzler racing Alan Wells. I was training that day as a youth, apparently. And then he's sent me a link to Flojo's Wikipedia saying, see, not all athletics records are quicker now than they were then. I did say generally, Catman, come on.
I love out there for me. They know the facts. I'm getting picked on weekend.
What's the chances of that? A guy that was training as a youth the day you were
he's probably got a sore neck going woof. No.
What did Alan Wells think of this when you pitched up?
I'll tell you what, he had veins in his neck trying to go over a line.
He must have thought, what's my career came to?
Don't get me wrong.
This. Nobody.
I thought it was a bit cheeky with the suit and the
Alan Wells was the
shoes on.
Andy Murray of his day. I mean, we won gold at the Olympics, so Alan Wells was the biggest guy, biggest name in Scotland.
It was built like
Curious Creatures has actually sent some poetry in about it, but I don't know. I think I'll just give it a miss.
It's just, I take it there's a few lines in there.
There's just some allegations about your private life that I don't know.
Listen, my private life's out there.
Maybe later. I must.
It's out there to be known.
We'll see how we get on.
No secrets in the DL household.
We will see how we get on. No more goals to tell you about in our 3 featured matches. I'll keep you up to speed on anything significant that's happening down the divisions or elsewhere. How's the Palmerston Pep getting on?
I think it's still 0-0.
Still goalless. Would you take a draw? End that losing run?
No, he's
get
got
up
to
the road.
Got to win the day.
Nah, take a draw.
His trachea will soon be in that charity shop next to Wilson's.
You've got to stop the rot. I think he would take a draw.
I think the big man's more ambitious. I think he's looking for a win. He better be looking for a win.
I'm assuming it is still goalless. So they're playing Annan,
yeah. If you don't go to Annan with ambition,
it's only probably one of the grounds I've never ever been to.
Oh, I've been.
Is it?
I've been.
What was it called? What's the name?
Galabank.
I've never been to Galabank.
Go up to Cammy Bell's house, get a cup of tea, and that's you.
A couple of things to tell you about. Clement is livid with the 4th official. As Yilmaz goes down under a challenge, it's right in front of him, nothing's given. There's a penalty to Livy for them to get back.
Harry Potter.
Foul on Sangari by Stuart Finlay, and Sean Kelly scored one against his brother in the last game. Saw Kylian Mbappe do the same in surreal fashion during the week, and now has the chance, however VAR is checking it.
See this here nowadays, right?
Penalty given.
The old days you used to go the same way, right? Because you didn't have people down all the stats on you. See if you're now a penalty kick taker, he scored 2 weeks ago. Do you know that the goalie coaches tell him where he's went?
And then do you double bluff?
Do you double bluff or do you
nightmare.
single bluff? What do you do? Or do you just hit it down the middle.
It was interesting. We had Liam Kelly on the show, and he said he knew which way Mbappe was going to go.
Yeah.
But he said he usually goes a little bit lower than that. It's like, so one week you're analysing your brother, and the next week you're having to analyse Kylian Mbappe.
I love the story about how he and Xander Clark known each other as kids because both their dads played for Yoker Athletic. I thought from Yoker Athletic to the European finals.
Sean Kelly does step up.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Good game. Fraser Wishart's got in his hands there. We're level after 35 minutes. Kelly 1, Livy 1. Dan Armstrong had opened the scoring, but that Sean Kelly penalty 10 minutes before the break has pulled things level.
Rewind 35 minutes ago, Mr. Wishart. I don't think we'll get much of a football game down here. He's got the best game out of them all.
Well, it might still be rubbish, to be fair.
No, it's not.
The scoreline's looking okay.
Goals, penalty kicks.
Hamilton Accies 1, Edinburgh City 0. Kyle MacDonald has opened the scoring there. Philippe Clement, I know it's day one in the job, but with that comes people probably obsessing over his every move just to find out what type of manager he is. He's very, so far, certainly kind of active on the touchline, trying to encourage players even if things aren't really going to plan in certain actions. But that's the initial impression we're getting from him. Whether that's first day enthusiasm or not, we've all been there.
Oh, well,
make more cups of tea than usual and try and be friendlier than usual, and then it wears away after a few weeks.
I think he's going to be a big personality in our game, I think.
You think so, Hugh?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I say, you can't just dismiss his backstory. The title's won in Belgium. The guy's
no one's dismissing it, but
the Dazzler is.
No,
I just asked you.
This is about guarantees, though. As Kenny Miller quite rightly pointed out, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had won things as a manager, played at the absolute elite as a player, and had played for Rangers and lasted a year in the job. So it's not about that. It's about just not taking anything as a guarantee.
As the Dazzler always says, if there's a yin, there must be a yang.
What?
I've never said that, but I'll certainly use it in the future.
Anyway, there is a bit of a rammy in the middle of the park. Fraser Wishart does have it all.
Told you.
There's a clash between Watson and Devlin. VAR is checking something. Ref hasn't made a decision yet, so we'll wait and see what the outcome of that is. Livy captain Mikey Devlin involved with his younger counterpart of Kilmarnock. VAR is going to take a look.
I can confirm it's still 0-0 Annan QOS.
Tragedy is he always loses the first goal.
Do you know what tomorrow is? Interesting.
Sunday.
It is. Any advance? Since we're on the topic, maybe
a year to the day.
It's happy birthday Scottish football's VAR. It's like we've known you all our lives. 1 year tomorrow was the anniversary. Is the anniversary? Sorry, it was Hibs St Johnstone, wasn't it, on the Friday night?
Yeah.
And then it really introduced itself with a bang at Tynecastle as Hearts played Celtic. So funnily enough, fitting as it may be, we've got a repeat of that fixture on Sunday. But tomorrow, this weekend, 1 year since Scottish football introduced VAR.
And you can put your last dollar on it. There'll be a VAR controversy at Tynecastle tomorrow to celebrate the anniversary. It was official incompetency a year ago, both involving the man Nick Walsh, who was in the middle, and those who worked VAR. It was a shambles.
Yeah, I don't think it went well. It was certainly incident packed, but handball was the one that caused probably the main issue that day, Mark, with Michael Smith. And I think, to be fair, it's never going to clear itself up, but I feel like the handball bar has changed slightly. I think it has for this season. We saw some like really, really difficult ones last season. I feel like they've at least attempted to make the bar for it a little bit higher.
Yeah, you would think so. So things have moved on, and I think like a year down the line from now, we'll be in a better place. It's never going to be perfect that day, but the referee himself on the day must have been thinking, I could have done with a lot smoother afternoon than I got. But we will get there. There is always going to be decisions that everybody disagrees on, even when we've got VAR. But I think, like you say, clearing things up, making a clearer picture for us is the ones watching in is going to help the process, and we'll get even better as the year goes on.
Yeah, I mean, let's 6 years down the line in the English Premier League, and we had the mother of all, disasters this season, really, didn't we? So let's just
Whatever
wait
happened
and see.
to the SFA's request for clarification of what went on in Spain?
Good question, Hugh Keevins. Good question.
I mean,
not heard it yet.
They must have it by this time.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure
Or
what the
are they
outcome of that was.
trying to think up a good one?
They're waiting for the anniversary.
Yeah. I think when you see mistakes in other leagues, it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't make you feel better about mistakes here. But what it should probably do is cause you to take a step back and say, Hugh, it is the main issue really overall. You know, is VAR bad for the game? Is that the actual focus, rather than, oh, look at this mistake this Scottish ref made? Because it feels like you just see baffling things everywhere.
I respect every man's opinion. My personal opinion is it's bad for the game. I don't think managers like it. I don't think players like it. I think that you get the impression that when a goal is scored, somebody back at whatever it's called, Clydesdale House, whatever it's called,
or anywhere though, like I said, UEFA's headquarters or Stockley Park or whatever.
Somebody is going over the goal with a fine tooth comb to think of a way to disallow it, and that for me is not what the game's all about. And for me personally, I think if you had a referendum, you would find that the vast majority of supporters think VAR has spoiled the game.
Yeah, happy birthday Scottish football's VAR for tomorrow. Hope you get something nice. What have we got here? Something else. Jamesy's on Twitter. He says 5 things faster than Daz.
Cheetah. Cheetah.
1, being stuck in the mud. 2, the slow-mo on my phone. 3, my deed dug. He says, come on.
Faster than his deed dug.
4, watching water evaporate. And 5, Martin Boyle.
He's not got much faith in you there. I tell you what, he's quick at though. He's got all the answers.
But Crazy Catman is giving you serious backing.
Well done, the Catman. Keep it coming.
He was at a Scotland training camp and he's thrown in names of people that could verify that.
There you go.
But the guy was also at a Scotland training camp.
Hold on. Luckily, we don't need to go down that road because I've got something more important to tell you about.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Goal. Kilmarnock, they're back in front, 2-1 up against Livy, and this time it is Kyle Vassell. Must have heard Mark Wilson say that he doesn't score enough goals before the game, and he's got one, the Killie captain. It was a free header, Dan Armstrong, who scored the first turns provider, free kick, 8-yard header. Kyle Vassell, thank you very much, says Derek McInnes, and Killie should take that 2-1 lead into the break.
Well, so far so good, but this is Davy Martindale and Livy we're talking about.
And VAR is checking.
Yes. There we go. I told you, every time a goal is scored, somebody is looking for a way to disallow it.
I know that all sounds dramatic and exciting, and I actually don't fully disagree, but every goal does get checked, so it's kind of on the tin with that. So we'll wait and see. What we should do is this though before we move on.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Goal given, by the way, if you could read your question.
6 Belgians have played for Celtic or Rangers since 2014. They are Dedrick Boyata, Charlie Masonda, Jason Denier, Bolly Bolingoli, as we all know, Logan Bailly, and Nicholas Raskan.
Tell you what, some sneaky names on there. An easy one in Raskan, who's still at the club, of course, or at one of those clubs. But well done if you got them all right. A really good effort. Third place was Chris Fish. Well done to Chris. Second place was Token Jester, and the winner was Michael Donati. Well done to you three. A very, very good Who Am I coming up in the second half. The Palmerston Pep. The team talk has changed. It's Annan 0, Queen of the South 1. Gavin Riley back in the team today, and he's repaid Marvin Bartley with the goal.
That's what he needed. He said to me last week, I just need some of my bigger players back and I'll be okay, and he's right on that one. Good on him. By the way, Daz on teaser there.
Happy with that?
He got 2 of the best names. He got Bay and Masonda at the end.
You got Masonda.
But the way, Gordon, the way he said to me Masonda, and he just kind of shrugged like, might be.
Well, I'm only two.
Where did you pull Masonda from?
Hold on a minute. Where's my phone?
I don't know. But that is knowledge.
Unless Dan through the glass here is writing stuff and showing me, you tell me.
You got on Masonda.
You knew that
Belgian.
Masonda was Belgian.
100%. You asked me that on Tuesday night and beat the
What's his
Pond
first name?
Charlie. Charlie.
Oh, don't give him it. You just gave him his name.
Aye.
Incidentally, whatever happened to him? Where did he end up?
Well, Daz will know, because Daz knows everything about Masonda. Where is he?
Back in Ghent in Belgium. He's down the road.
Yeah, I think it went downhill very quickly. Was it? Because was he not the one when Celtic signed him?
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers said Real Madrid wanted him or something like that.
That was the very chap.
And then everyone very quickly googled and found out, or accused, that he hadn't actually played against Real Madrid, as Brendan Rodgers had suggested. Anyway, he was last seen in Greece somewhere, I think. Had a brief spell at Levante last season.
Still decent.
No, Cyprus, sorry. No,
I would have
Cyprus.
that.
He's in Cyprus somewhere.
He'll retire in his hometown.
Oh, look at this. Right on cue for the first half teaser. We've got a Belgian who's scored.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Nicholas Raskin, 25-30 yards out. He's found the back of the net from distance, and that really puts a different complexion on things. A first half-time team talk for Philippe Clement, a 2-0 victory. To state the absolute obvious is very different from a 1-0 lead, Hugh. That makes it feel a lot more comfortable for him going in.
Yeah, you're scoring at a time when they're going to get an ovation going off the park, and they're going to feel 10 feet tall, and Hibs subconsciously thinking we're in bother here. So it could not be better for Philippe Clement. And the debate will be at 5 o'clock. Why were they not able to play like this against Aberdeen 2 weeks ago, where they capitulated? Rangers, the banners then came out about heartless, passionless, and whatever the third word was. But now they've come up with a performance.
There is a check for an offside in the build-up. Remember, you have to check the attacking phase of play. So from the moment that Rangers sort of went on the attack, did anything take place within that phase? It now looks like it's for a possible foul. Anyway, it's complete and the goal has been given. Nicholas Raskin's first ever goal for Rangers puts them 2-0 up heading into the break. It is half-time in our featured championship match with David Friel.
Half time, Gordon and Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1. We said earlier on, league leaders Dundee United are out to make a statement. I think they're doing that so far. Craig Sybil's goals put them ahead at the break. They have been the better team. Jim Goodwin side are up for this one. Ross Docherty in midfield against his former club. He's really setting the tone. They've been a yard sharper, and I think they'll probably feel there's more goals in this for them. Thistle did improve in the last 10 minutes, but we need to be much better in the second half. United should have taken the lead in 10 minutes. Tony Watt, great turning pass, sent Glenn Middleton through. United winger went for power. Jamie Snedden, the Thistle goal, made a really good save, but from the resultant corner, United did take the lead. Middleton's corner found Craig Sybil completely unmarked at the back post. He took a touch, fired it through bodies into the bottom corner. United kept pushing for a second. Kai following him, he's been really bright. He was unlucky with a low effort. Tony Watt also grazed the bar. Up the other end, Brian Graham's been pretty frustrated by a lack of service. He's an ongoing battle with Declan Gallagher, and nothing's been given in that one. Stephen Lawless has probably been Thistle's best player. He did get a shot on target after a jinking run, but Jack Walton saved, and then just before the break, Harry Millen also fired one wide. So good half so far. Half time, Partick 0, Dundee United 1.
So good start to that one for Dundee United. Still no half-time whistle elsewhere. I think there was 4 minutes added on at Rugby Park. That was about 3 minutes ago, so we shouldn't be too far away there. And we'll get a half-time from Ibrox, where I'm sure the Rangers fans are certainly going to be pleased with the scoreline, and we'll find out what they made of the performance afterwards on the open line. So get your thoughts ready and give us a call there. But so far so good for your old team, Dundee United. Mark Wilson.
Yeah, and you've got to say it's been a good start to the season. Hugh was right, they need to get out that division, and they've started very well.
Half time at Ibrox, Andrew and Roger.
Rangers 2, Hibs 0, the half time score, and these fans at Ibrox, they applaud the team off the pitch after seeing the signs that they were hoping to under new manager Philippe Clement. You may be able to hear boos around me. Those aren't for the Rangers players, those are for the officials. That's quite common in Scottish football, though. The home side did look the more positive in attack. Sam Lammers had the strike from the edge of the box very early on. That one was deflected wide. Abdallah Sima, he couldn't sort his feet out then after being played in well by Bona Barisic. Barisic then was forced off injured with what looked like a quad injury. It was Ridvan Yilmaz that came on from him. That was just before Jack Butland made a routine save from Dilaventa. The ball ball bounced up nicely for the striker, but it was into the hands of the Rangers goalkeeper. Hibs also had an opening from a Lewis Miller long throw. It bounced around the Rangers box before it was eventually gathered by Jack Butland. Then at the other end, it was Cyril Dessers with a volley. That one was on target. Wasn't an easy opportunity though. James Tavernier's cross was behind him. He had to try and reset his body. Didn't get enough power. That one was saved by David Marshall. That was all within the first 17 minutes. And that was when Rangers ended up getting the first goal of the Philippe Clement era. Abdallah Sima, he was set away. Good pace to get to the edge of the box. But he still had plenty to do because he was at an angle. But what a finish. Low and hard. A cross goal into the bottom corner. And that one made it 1-0. Chances did dry up a bit after that. A few Rangers players getting shots away in the same sequence at one point, the ball banding around the box, but eventually that one dribbled wide after a few shots were blocked and saved. Then out of nowhere, just before half time, Nicholas Raskin, and what a goal it was as well. He was about 25 or 30 yards out. The ball dropped to him nicely, took a touch, looked up, and with his right foot drilled it low and hard into the bottom corner. David Marshall couldn't get there, and what a way to mark his first Rangers goal. But I'm sure Philippe Clement will be happy with what he's seen from his team so far. The half time score, Rangers 1, Rangers 2, Hibs 0, and Roger Hanna alongside me. What will the biggest takeaways that the fans will have from that 45 minutes so far?
Well, the fans and Philippe Clement, Andrew, could not have asked for any more. Abdallah Sima, 6th goal in 7 games. He is emerging as a real goal threat for Rangers. And Nicholas Raskin, his fellow Belgian, a first goal for the club after 9 months here at Ibrox. It's waited long and weary to get it. I thought David Marshall should have done better. It's from a long way out. He went down very slowly and it just sneaked in at the corner. But it's a really promising start for Rangers. There was a tifo in the Broomloan Road stand before kick-off asking for everything from everyone, and I think the fans have got everything from everyone so far. Jack Butland again looked composed when Hibs had anything to throw at him. Rangers have been the better, they've pressed high. It's an interesting tactical switch you pointed out during the first half, of Lammers up very high alongside Dessers, and Rangers in a rigid 4-4-2 when they do press. As Philippe Clement said yesterday, he's not Harry Potter with a magic wand, but the Rangers fans will be happy with the spell he's cast in this first half.
Yeah, it certainly was a bit of magic from Nicholas Raskin towards the end of that game as well, or the end of that half I should say. There is still 45 minutes to go, but the opening 45 minutes of the Philippe Clement era certainly will have pleased these fans inside Ibrox. The half-time score, Rangers 2, Hibs 0.
What about Rugby Park then, Fraser Wishart?
Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 1. A slow start to the half, but it became really lively in the last 20 minutes. Pretty physical, really fast paced, lots going on the field of play. Kelly ahead through goals, but Dan Armstrong and Kyle Vassell either side of a Sean Kelly penalty for Livingston. In the 3rd minute, Livy had the best chance of the early period. It was an in-swinging free kick by Sean Kelly, and Newbley, about 8 yards out, free header. He should have done much better than head the ball about a yard wide, but pretty scrappy from both sides. Not much real good football till the opener on 17 minutes, and Dava made really good ground on the left hand side. His cross picked out Watson, who missed his volley completely, but fortunately for Kilmarnock, the ball fell to Dan Armstrong, who hit a first time low left foot shot and went into the net off Sean Kelly into the corner of Sean George's net. Almost 2 a minute later, Michael Devlin dallied in the ball. He's robbed by Kyle Vassell, who was clean through. Would he shoot? Would he square to Watkins? He did neither. He overran the ball and was tackled by DeLucas. Lovely tackle by the big centre back. 24 minutes, Armstrong almost made it in 2. This time he went on the outside. His low right foot shot across the goalkeeper, pushed away by George. Plenty of bodies trying to get in the end of it, but cleared by Michael Devlin. Then Vassell was just wide from 20 yards. Polworth, 20 yard shot deflected just over as Kelly dominated, but against the run of play. 35 minutes, Livingston equalised from the penalty spot. Mo Sangari got onto a loose ball in the penalty box first before Stuart Finlay. The big defender was actually trying to clear the ball, and the Livy player instead was kicked by Finlay, and Sangari went down. The referee gave a penalty rightly, and Sean Kelly stepped up to put the ball to Dempsey's right and sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. Watson Devlin then booked for a clash in midfield. Referee Craig Napier really been tested in this physical game before. In the 42nd minute, Kelly regained the lead with a simple goal. We've seen it so often for Kilmarnock. Free kick on the right hand side, Dan Armstrong with a left footed free kick. Lovely in swinging ball in behind the back four. Kyle Vassell stooped 8 yards out to head past George Lowe into the left hand corner. Really poor marking by Livingston. I think David Martindale won't be happy, and he might look to his bench quickly, as he's been second best so far. But Kelly deservedly ahead at half time. A good game to watch here. Half time, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 1.
And we'll do a full roundup of the half time scores next.
The fastest goals, the expert opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time scores around the country. The weather has caused some havoc. We do have a reduced fixture card in the Premiership and beyond, but if I do give you the scores as things stand at the moment, there's enough to get our teeth into. The big game at Ibrox, Philippe Clement's first game in charge. It's Rangers 2, Hibs 0. Elsewhere, Kilmarnock 2, Livingston 1. The three other matches, Ross County St Mirren, St Johnstone Motherwell and Aberdeen Dundee, all postponed. In the Championship, Dunfermline 0, Ayr United 1 and Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 1. Those are the only two again which survive the weather. In League 1, Alloa 1, Kelty Hearts 1, Annan Athletic 0, Queen of the South 1, Hamilton Accies 1, Edinburgh City 0 and Stirling Albion 1, Falkirk 1. In League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 1, Clyde 2, East Fife 2, Stranraer 0 and the Spartans 0, Dumbarton 0. Finally, the English Premier League, a full-time result: Liverpool 2, Everton 0. At the break, Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0, Brentford 1, Burnley 0, Man City 2, Brighton 0, Newcastle 3, Crystal Palace 0 and Nottingham Forest 0, Luton 0. The second halves are coming up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with lookers.co.uk. With over 140 dealerships across the UK, it's the place to find new and used cars and vans. The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lookers Jaguar. Buy your next car or book your MOT service or repair online. Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half times around the country, in fact second half starting to get underway, but I don't think we're underway yet at Ibrox. Andrew McLean and Roger Hanna. Roger, Rangers have got themselves comfortably in front. It feels like a comfortable performance. How good a performance has it been?
It's been good in flashes. It has been sporadic. It did come out quite fast. Abdallah Tima again has been a threat. He took his goal really well, Gordon. They fell a little bit flat after that for a period of time. I expected more, I have to say, from Hibernian. Been down the blank boil, and Yuan have been kept quite quiet. And just when you thought 1-0 was going to be an acceptable half-time scoreline, Nicholas Raskan came up with an excellent strike from 25 yards. There was a challenge with Sam Lammers in the build-up to the goal, which was viewed again by VAR, but referee Don Robertson and the VAR happy to give the goal. I said I thought David Marshall could have done better. When I've seen the goal again in the replay, it's a better hit by Raskan than I initially thought, so we can probably exonerate David Marshall of any blame now. But I think Philippe Clement and the Rangers fans have every right to be content with the 45 minutes that we've seen. He said yesterday he's not Harry Potter, he hasn't a magic wand, he can't transform these players instantly, but he'll be content with the 45 minutes in the performance he's seen so far.
I suppose, Andrew McLean, the Rangers wouldn't necessarily look to make any changes, would they? Anything doing for Hibs?
Yeah, you'd be surprised really if Rangers were to make any changes. Hibs are already out on the pitch at the moment. Well, most of their players are, so I will let you know as soon as the full 11 are out on the pitch. But Rangers are making their way onto the pitch at the moment. Of course, there is that one change that they made in the first half. Borna Barisic with an injury, looked as if it would be maybe a quad problem for him. Ridvan Yilmaz has come on. He was right basically on the touchline where Philippe Clement was in the first half, and Clement was giving him a lot of instructions in that first half. He's giving a lot of information to his players when he can. And one thing I'd noticed, Roger, Philippe Clement had said yesterday he didn't want to see, I can't quite say the word on air, but not very good lateral passes from Rangers. It's been quite obvious that when Rangers players have been getting on the ball, they've been looking to get the ball forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah, they have been, and they're looking to get it into wide areas. Tavernier out there on the right hand side with Scott Wright, Tima on the left hand side, initially with Paris, then with Ridvan, and they've tried to press Hibs. Hibs like to play out from the back. They've not been allowed to play out from the back. Rangers have shown more energy, just like Philippe Clement and the supporters called for.
Yeah, no changes for either side. Referee Don Robertson just checking everything is good to go. Adam Lafondra, the man standing over the ball, and gets us underway for the second half.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Fight off the flu this winter with help from their pharmacy.
So, there we have it, second half's underway. It would take something monumental for Philippe Clement to not come away with the opening game victory as Rangers boss from here, Hugh.
Yeah, it would have to be something catastrophic now. I think Rangers will only go from strength to strength. I think 2 will become 3. and possibly 4. Hibs have gone there and they've been positive, but on the day so far, not good enough.
You fancied Rangers to drop points today, Gordon Dalziel. You thought that might happen. Has this been a combination of Rangers have done things well in patches and flashes, as Roger says, and actually Hibs have offered very little, haven't they?
I think, yeah, both. But I think the timing of the goals are very important, Gordon. They got off to a good start. Seema getting a good goal, terrific finish. And then just on the stroke of half time, 1-0, you still think, can Hibs create a chance? They've got plenty of attacking players on the pitch. Second half, let's see what they've got to offer. But Raskin probably has put this game to bed. And I'm with you. I'd be very surprised if Rangers don't add to this.
Yeah, the problem Hibs have got, the great attacking intent with their players at the top end of the pitch, but new manager, same problems, cannot defend through the heart of their team. And Fish and Hanlon, again, credit to Seema, because real pace to get in there and a great finish. But Hanlon and Fish are bumping into each other almost every week and conceding goals. So until Nick Montgomery can get that right, then Hibs will always be a team that goes up and down. But for Philippe Clement, probably almost perfect first half.
That's sad news coming out of English football in particular, Hugh, but the type of name that really goes across borders, it has to be said. One of the game's most recognisable names, Sir Bobby Charlton, England's World Cup winner and Manchester United legend, has died at the age of 86. His family have released the news in the last 10 minutes or so, and as you can imagine, a whole host of tributes pouring in from all corners of the football world already.
There is a statue outside Old Trafford of 3 players: Dennis Law, Georgie Best and Bobby Charlton. Sadly, George Best has gone. Now Sir Bobby has gone. Dennis, I hope, will be with us for many years to come. Someone I treasure having met and worked with. But for people of my generation, Bobby Charlton, in 1957 he survived the Munich air disaster, which claimed the lives of so many Manchester United players, and he went on to be one of the greatest ever Manchester United players and England internationals. He was a superb talent. We could have all the arguments about eras, what it was like then, what it's like now. Bobby Charlton was a magnificent player, magnificent goal scorer, World Cup winner with England, and at the age of 86 he's had a full life, and it doesn't lessen the sadness when you hear of his passing.
Yeah, I was very fortunate, and we were talking about this a few weeks ago, that I lived next to Bobby Charlton when I moved to Manchester City. I used to see him out and about, and as Hugh will tell you, I remember Bobby Charlton's playing days. He never scored a tap in. He was the best ball striker I've ever seen. Yeah. Everyone nearly took the roof of the net off. Sadly missed. Bad news today, Gordon. But as Hugh quite rightly says, he'll be remembered for a terrific career and a terrific gentleman.
Yeah, sad news that. Sir Bobby Charlton, Manchester United legend, England World Cup winner, has sadly passed away at the age of 86. Back in our Premiership this afternoon, we are well underway in the second half between Rangers and Hibs, where Rangers have a 2-goal lead at Killie against Livy, where it's 2-1 to the hosts in that one. So plenty of intrigue remaining.
You fancy a wee teaser
in the second half? I think we should, Hugh Keevins. Let me tee you up for it.
The second half teaser
with the ScottishSun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Frasier has re-entered the building. Hey baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Brand new Frasier, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.
Y'all know how this goes. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs.
Kelsey Grammer returns.
Life's calling again.
In all new Frasier. Streaming now on Paramount Plus. T's and C's apply. Subscription required. 18 plus.
I have played alongside John Sutton and Lawrence Shankland. I've been managed by Jim Duffy and Jackie McNamara. I've won 3 out of the top 4 divisions in Scotland. I have made appearances in the Champions League and the Europa League. Who am I? So I've played alongside John Sutton and Lawrence Shankland. I've been managed by Jim Duffy and Jackie McNamara. I've won 3 out of the top 4 divisions in Scottish football. And I have made appearances in both the Champions League and the Europa League. Who am I?
It is so tough. I think it is really tough because there's just so much that goes into it. Mark Wilson, show me your paper. Which one? No. Okay, and you've spelled his first name wrong, but that's fine. We'll let that slide by. Yeah, really tough because you don't need me to tell you, but you're talking about, certainly in Jim Duffy's case, manager that's managed many different clubs.
Oh yeah.
This player might have played for many different clubs. There's a lot of moving parts in there. But what was the last clue again? Remind me.
He's also played in the Champions League and the Europa League.
Okay, right. Get your thinking caps on. Let's separate you from the elite knowledge level on the Who Am I? Because I'll tell you what, every week I'm always just amazed at how quickly Gordon Dalziel's got it. Remarkable. Remarkable. How do you do that?
Get
in there!
I just gave him a high five, like all cool guys do. Wow, that's impressive.
It is, because you're not the best at quizzes, right? Let's just be honest, but you have a knack of the Who Am I?
That was
really
brilliant. Do you know, see, when you looked at me, I thought you're going to embarrass me. That's a mile out.
No, far from it. Well
great,
done.
well done.
On a podium, the Dazzler.
Just like Alan Wells, right straight out the
I
blocks.
showed you, I was quick.
Yeah.
I'm quick at everything.
Speaking of which, steady. Martin Boyle has been caught late by Sam Lammers, who receives the first booking of the match. So don't let that put you off just because Gordon Dalziel's got it. Maybe that gives you a kick up the backside. If you don't have it yet, why not? Send us a tweet at Clyde SSB, please. And we'll see who can get that answer for us.
Great. What a detail in there. Yeah.
Pull that one right out of the hand.
Last clue. Last clue's a good one.
Yeah. I don't
on,
want to
just-
give in away.
exactly,
I
just
don't
you
want to
calm
be
down.
smart, Mark.
Calm down if you don't mind. Tony Watt and Stuart Bannigan have had a little set to. It's getting feisty there at Firhill, as we suspected it would. Obviously, two teams kind of bit of a rivalry for a number of reasons, and they've got players that used to play for the other team and so on. So it's got a bit of a needle, as they say. Watkins has gone just wide from 20 yards. Keeper was rooted, couldn't move. But unfortunately for Marley Watkins, wrong side of the post in that one.
Saying to Daz earlier on, got my best ever bonus, or felt my best ever bonus in that Partick Thistle Dundee United fixture. Many years ago, we were relegation battle, and I went there with Dundee United as a young kid, maybe 18, something like that, and we needed to win, I think, to stay up. And Eddie Thompson came into his dressing room just before the game, and he says, "What riding on this, everybody? You're on."
No. How much is riding on this?
No,
everybody?
you can't tell. $2,000.
$2,000 now. At that time, I'm 18 or 19. $2,000 a man to stay
Fortune.
up. We won the game. I booked a holiday to Florida on the bus outside the stadium.
How did you manage that in the pre-smartphone era?
Well, I'd phoned.
You phoned the travel agent?
No, I phoned the other half and said,
"Get that booked.
Get that booked. We are going to Florida." Best bonus ever had. That.
Tell you what, $2,000 wouldn't take you to Florida now. That's
No,
for sure,
by the way,
but
I was pricing it the other day.
This just shows
$2,000 didn't
ridiculous.
take him to London on a Saturday. Never mind Florida.
So what year was that? Would we be talking again?
Must have been 2002, maybe, something around that. 2002, 2003, something like that.
And then the Celtic Champions League bonuses came
Oh,
along.
and then they took over.
I tell you what, they must be spent now. Surely that's
well,
where
they
this guy's
they
been.
afforded me to go to Florida and get park passes as well.
Fast track, nevertheless.
Yeah.
He was right up the front for Tower of Terror or whatever it's called. Right, a bit of a mistake there from David Marshall. It's a terrible pass out. It falls to John Lundstrom. He is a long way out and he goes for goal, but even by that standards, even though he's far out, it was a poor effort. Kind of hits it along the ground and way off target. So a let off for David Marshall, shall we say.
But still the story for me of going from capitulation to domination. You know, Rangers sound as if they're all over Hibs, and Hibs have given it their best shot but don't have a goal in them at the moment. And the team who were booed off the park, who emptied half of their stadium by being so poor against Aberdeen, are now back in the good books.
Huge miss by Sam Lammers. I know what you're saying, but do we sometimes over exaggerate when Rangers in this case are in a bit of a slump? I mean, they did beat St Mirren comfortably in the last game, and I know it was against 10 men, but the sad reality for our league is these teams are so financially dominant that they're never going to struggle in every game. It's just not going to happen.
No, but you know, the final days of Michael Beale, I mean, to lose, it's only 6 weeks ago, lost to Celtic, greatly understrength Celtic, and to lose to Aberdeen in the manner in which they lost to them. That's why there's a new manager. You know, the place was just sinking further and further into the mire.
It is a real sitter, this from Sam Lammers. I wonder when we get to Howler of the Weekend territory. He's about 7 yards out and he hits the post, but the goal just staring at him.
I think it's harder to hit the post than it is the back of the net. There you go. It's an absolute sitter. The lads at the game have just texted me there and said they cannot believe it. Head and hands, unbelievable.
Two of your favourite Motherwell strikers in recent years have combined. It was a move. Tony Watt, Louis Moult through. Poor finish though. Easy save. The chance to put Dundee United 2 up, and it does not happen on this occasion.
It's Mark Wilson on the coffees in for a month, does there?
Well, there's still a bit to go. There's still a bit to go, but I'm just looking about thinking, well, I can't wait to hear that Desars has been substituted.
We're on 50 odd minutes. We've only got a few minutes.
Come on, the manager, do your magic after 60 minutes.
Come on, Desars, this game's done, mate. Just score, would you?
What have I told you?
Imagine Rangers get a penalty and James Tavernier decides to hand it over.
No, I'm not making the coffees for that.
What do you mean?
No, I refuse to.
No, a deal's a deal.
Deal's not a deal, because Tavernier, I would be stripping over the captaincy myself. He takes a penalty kick, simple as that. And it'll be interesting to hear from the guys. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear them. Oh, please don't tell me. See if you say Ibrox.
With M&D Green Pharmacy,
we've got a goal.
Where at?
It is a 25-yard strike. The keeper is suspect though. It's Kevin Holt for Dundee United. You're fine. 2-0 to Dundee United at Firhill. I almost forgot which team Kevin Holt played for there, because he's done a bit of moving around. But there we are. Dundee United are 2 goals to the good.
And that's that. You would imagine, serious questions would be asked if you couldn't hold on to a 2-goal lead. As I say, I think it's a very important time for Jim Goodwin, for the club, the owners in town, for the first time in a long time. And Dundee United must get out of that division, or it spells financial trouble.
Rangers have made a change, but it's Scott Wright who goes off, and Todd Cantwell comes on. Apparently he's run on and whispered to Dessers, "I've got you, big man. I'm putting one on a plate for you."
Well, listen, I told you, lipstick, it's the same thing. I'm not having a go. I like the guy to go and hit the ground running now under a new manager, but I've never seen anything in him that has convinced me that a new manager will bring out the best in him.
Todd Cantwell back. I think he's missed the last 7 games, Mark. He probably wasn't having a brilliant season compared to some of the performances at the tail end of last season, but he still remains a fan's favourite, no doubt. He's still, I think, quite obviously would be in Rangers' strongest starting 11. So the fact that he's missed the last 7 has been a problem. And I'm sure Philippe Clement delighted to see him back.
Particularly in his first game as manager. You want your best players available to you, and I believe Cantwell probably is one of Rangers' better midfielders, better players. Like he creates, he plays with a bit of freedom. He can play those passes that maybe others can't. So it's a big plus for him to be back in the side. And no doubt about it, he wasn't as good as he was last season when he came in, but he was still better than probably the rest.
Oh, the roof is caving in at Firhill.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 3. Scott McMahon with a finish at the back post. It's a really good move, this, actually, from Dundee United. And 2 quick fire goals just around the hour mark have put this one beyond all doubt. They're a demanding bunch, those Partick Thistle fans, and they will not be happy with what they're seeing. But on the other hand, the Kilmarnock fans will be.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's that goal machine, Kyle Vassell. He's got his second of the afternoon, and Kilmarnock lead 3-1 against Livingston. It's a front post header. Dan Armstrong said someday, 1 goal, 2 assists. He put this one across as well, and Kyle Vassell with the finish.
Well, Kilmarnock needed a scoreline, not yet a result, but they needed that, and credit to them. They were going in there hardly in the best of form, but they are making a good job of opponents who are extremely difficult.
What's your thoughts on Harry Potter now?
Yeah, he's a dud.
As a result, Kilmarnock certainly needed. I fancied them today. Home advantage after international break gives Derek a bit of time to work. They've got a good squad. They've got good players. They've got guys that can turn games. I don't see Livingston getting anything now, a point, but that's a good 3 points for Kilmarnock, I've got to say.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. Jimmy Jago's gone off to be replaced by Dylan Levitt for Hibs. Vassell I think he just hit the bar as well before that, so he's clearly enjoying his afternoon there. Do you know what, I was just flicking through Twitter there looking at the answers to the second half teaser, and it reminded me, have you all had time to fully study the pictures that have been put up of you on Twitter earlier? So the producers, as creative as ever, have you seen this fad that's doing the round on social media? It's a sort of 90s yearbook. You know, I think it's like AI or some sort of filter where famous footballers have been getting turned into like a 90s version of themselves, a kind of retro look. So you three plus myself have had that treatment. If you go to @ClydeSSB, scroll down a bit, you will see the pictures, and they are spectacular. Let's just say Hugh Keevins, leather jacket, blonde quiff, earring, it's all there. It looks absolutely outstanding. Mark Wilson,
I think I've come out the worst.
You don't like coming out the worst, don't you? Know you actually fancy yourself.
You've got the sort of long wet look hair, earrings, denim shirt. Yeah, Gordon, I actually think that just looks like an old picture of you.
Yeah,
really,
it does.
You don't look much different. You've just got the sort
more
of
a feather cut in the 90s.
That looks a bit like a feather cut anyway. Denim shirt. And
quite a handsome boy.
I've gone for a sort of leather jacket, white jeans, shaved sides of the head.
I look like the guy.
Gabs on you.
I did look like Gabs.
He's a double, isn't he?
I look like the guy from Gogglebox.
Yeah.
Oh, the old, they're not on it anymore. The old German guy.
No,
the couple.
Yeah.
What couple?
2 guys.
Yeah.
Who does
the wee dog?
The wee dogs, aye.
They're actually not on it anymore either, are they?
No, they're not on it either. You do here. I think you look alright, you.
Miko says Shug looks like Paul O'Grady.
Oh well.
James Sanders says the least threatening motorcycle gang ever. Lasunis has got you as Curly Watts from Coronation Street.
Curly.
Stuart McQueen says worst boy band ever, which is quite accurate, I would say, looking at that picture. What else have we got?
So it's early 90s, did you say, Gordon, that was supposed to be?
I think that's like the theme of it.
I certainly look early 80s.
A bit more
with
80s,
that long curly hair.
What age were you then?
In the early 90s. I was born in 84, so.
Okay, then.
Seven.
Mark Wilson looks like he's going to sing Achy Breaky
I
Heart.
see. Billy Ray Cyrus.
Sparky says that, yes. It's quite an interesting look.
You were born in 84.
Yeah,
84.
yeah. What were you up to in 84, Shug?
I had 3 kids by that time.
I was mad.
You were a busy man.
I don't know how this makes you feel, Mark Wilson, but maybe to add some detail to your complaints about yours. So the producers tried this yesterday. They turned, and I got a sneak preview, but apparently whatever this means, they were having trouble with your face. Your face just wasn't like cooperating with the technology very well. So there are some other attempts at you. Didn't go really well. You looked like particularly deformed.
Let's see.
So So they had to redo it.
I actually like that better. I like that better. A young Charlie Nicholas there.
Aye,
we've
I
get that one.
There were alternatives for everyone. There's one of Hugh sporting a sort of green hair.
Nah, your one's better. It's on.
Anyway, more
Look at Mrs.
importantly,
Brown's boys there.
believe it or not, more importantly than that,
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
and it's a goal for Rangers. Rangers 3, Hibs 0. Dessers with the shot. It's blocked and it falls to Sima, and he gets his second of the afternoon. But the Sima goal train rolls on, Hugh. We mentioned it earlier. He's got a double, he's on a hat-trick, and Rangers are cruising.
Philippe Clement could not have asked for any more than this today, because Sima has scored 2 very good goals, and the goal scoring charts where he's concerned are terrific. It's an emphatic win. It's everything that Rangers were not latterly under Michael Beale. It's only day one on the job for Philippe Clement, but he must be extremely happy with the way the game's gone.
I mean, I know not everything is about your bet, but Dessers should have scored for what it's worth. But luckily for him, Abdallah Sima, Gordon, you cannot argue with that goal return.
Brilliant return. Absolutely brilliant return. There was question marks about him early on, but I think he's one now that starting to show his true form. And when you're scoring goals week in, week out, and he's on a good run, it just brings so much confidence to your game, and all of a sudden the finish has become a lot easier. Probably Dessers needs 1 or 2 of these, goals to go week in, week out, and maybe that'll help him on his next journey. But I'll not belong to the number 9 board is up on the touchline waiting for that substitution.
If you do it by the numbers, Sima is the main man here. He is undroppable. It doesn't matter about Dessers, Danilo, anybody else. Sima has the figures to show that he's the number 1 man.
Yeah, that takes him up to top scorer in the league alongside Matt O'Reilly. Sima has the chance to add to that today, and of course Matt O'Reilly with the chance to respond tomorrow. Of course, don't know what Kyogo has up his sleeve. He's not far behind either. But yeah, it's been a real good goal scoring run, and it's exactly the type of afternoon Philippe Clement would have had in mind, Gordon Dalziel.
100%. I said that the timing of the goals have been perfect for him. Scores early, eases the nerves and round about the stadium. Just before half time, gets that goal that really kills Hibs. Let's be honest. Hibs getting in at 1-0, you're still thinking they've got some firepower, they might create a chance, might get back in the game. 2-0 for me, the game's gone. And then all of a sudden, this 3-0, that's ease for them now, and it's a great start and a great 3 points.
Bashiri, Tavares and young Whittaker all on for Hibs, so a triple change, but the game is beyond them, you would have to imagine. Hugh, remind us of your teaser if you can, please.
Yeah, I have played alongside John Sutton and Lawrence Shanklin. I've been managed by Jim Duffy and Jackie McNamara. I've won 3 out of the top 4 divisions in Scottish football, and I have appeared in the Champions League and the Europa League. Who am I?
Just out of curiosity, Gordon, because I don't want you giving it away, but I'm impressed that you got it so quickly. Where was this guy managed by Jackie McNamara?
Is it probably Partick Thistle he was at?
Okay, just testing you.
Good shout, he knows all about this guy.
I know all about this guy because...
Oh, don't give it away.
Right, okay, but I've had a conversation about all this.
Oh, good. That gives it. That's
so
very
I'm not
helpful.
giving it away. There you go.
Right,
that's why I knew. Boom, right on it. Shuggies next week's, and I'll get that out the road. I can sleep easy on Friday night.
Alan thinks it might be Kenny Miller.
No.
Now the Big Blue Bear. This is an interesting shout. Cal Naismith.
No.
Oh, okay.
Paul Robertson. Not such a good shout. Effie Ambrose.
No.
Sandra wants to go Danny Galbraith.
Don't go there.
And Starbar Andrew thinks Graham Dorrans.
No.
Okay, keep your guesses coming in at Clyde SSB. Let's see how many more of you can get it. I don't mean to make you feel bad, but Gordon Dalziel got it about half an hour ago now, so shame on you if you don't have it yet. Palmerston Pep, is he still one up? Have we had any news of Marvin Bartley's Queen of the South? Are we going to see him this midweek? Is what I'm really asking.
Coming out from under the bed.
You can't pick your nights because of the Saturday.
No.
result.
See, to be fair, he's not.
He's born once a month.
He's There was some ludicrous excuse this week. I can't even be bothered trying to remember what it was. He sent me a 60-second long voice note at 8 o'clock that morning, whinging about something that he had on, and I just deleted it straight away.
He's a star attraction, isn't he? He's
the big man.
all over the country, Marvin. He's great. He turned up at a thing for AR26 charity a couple of weeks ago.
You don't work for them anymore.
No, I know, but
you don't need to keep giving them.
But listen, the work still needs done. But Marvin, off the back of a bad result, still turned up right after training with a trackie on.
Wait till you run out next week at 2 o'clock with your mascot suit on. I'll be the
Do you think that's what the new job is?
100%.
You think he's a mascot for a club?
Well, listen, he can't be anything else, can he?
I mean, I'm probably going to regret this, but maybe we should throw that out to the listeners, right? He's allowed to reveal this week what his new job is. So until such times, why don't you try and predict it? What is Mark Wilson's new job? Let's see how
it's going to be offensive things in there, isn't there?
Let's see how creative you can get.
Yeah,
it's going to put me in a downer
at Clyde SSB. If you'd rather just tweet me directly at Gordon Duncan 7. What is Mark Wilson's new job? Let's see how creative we can get.
Are you replacing Holly Willoughby on This Morning?
Good one, Hugh.
Wow.
Good one. That's a good start. Let's see what the listeners can come up with on that front. Anything else?
Well, we know he's not going back to Brecon, so we can rule that one out.
Do you ever remember? This is like an old private joke from the show from years ago, so if you've not been listening, then it's maybe hard to keep up with. But remember, you told us on this show years ago the admiration that you had for an actor, shall we say, called Kieran Lee. Remember that whole drama?
Big Kieran.
Roger Hanna thinks you might be going to be his body double. I don't think so, Roger. Believe me.
Listen, I'll take that as a compliment.
I was going with him.
Believe me,
Kieran's work's getting on these days.
Yeah, I don't
Check
think
in.
so. Let's see what we've got on Twitter. If you want to tweet me what is Mark Wilson's new job, I'll be delighted.
You'll regret this. You really will.
Well, he won't regret it. I'll regret it when I'm offended and just ruining my night.
Matondo thinks you're going to be a bin man to join the guy that.
Like father, like son, my dad was a bin man in Easter House back in the day.
You want your way up to an ups man?
But remember,
what's your old man now?
Remember Gordon Dalziel met your bin man though. That's
you know.
That's David Freeland quite rightly says a Helly Hansen ambassador after the Bombay Dreams picture.
I would take that as well. Helly Hansen will come back into fashion.
Craig Meikle thinks playing the mushroom in the film version of Mario Brothers.
I'll tell you what he's going to be. So what's the guy that Ricky Gervais puts all over the world? Because he's everywhere.
An idiot abroad. Carl Pilkington.
There he is.
That's offensive.
The Wilson. An idiot abroad. We're going to send him to different places.
That's a good point. Although I'd much rather see Hugh do that.
Yeah,
I have to say.
Yeah.
But you're right. He does get about this guy, doesn't he?
Luckily for me, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Travel broadens the mind.
Yeah,
I offered you last week to come to London alongside me,
and
you said you had a game of golf.
I quite rightly declined.
Matthew says a lookalike for someone out of Dallas.
Oh no, not Dallas. That's who I was named after.
That's true.
Aye,
right. We'll get
Mark
back
and
to
Palmer.
Get back to them. You can tell there's not many goals going in. You've got to blame the Storm for this discussion. We should have more football doing the rounds, but not to be. 3-0 in two of our games, so Rangers are out of sight. Partick Thistle are trailing, so you have to say that Dundee United are out of sight as well. There is a bit of not quite. I was going to say there's a bit of suspense in the Kilmarnock game, but it's still 3-1 there. It's closer, but at Kilmarnock you'd have to say.
Is all the results really put to bed, Gordon?
I think so. Yeah, looks like it.
No comebacks, Hugh.
Can't see it.
Alloa 3, Kelty Hearts 1. Taylor Stephen with the goal there. Good game. Bonnyrigg Rose against Clyde 3-2 to Bonnyrigg Rose now. Taylor Sutherland with the 5th, but maybe still more to come.
Maybe just goes to show you how bunched up the league is. Kilmarnock won today, going to top 6, so we're seeing how disappointing it has been for Derek McInnes of recent times. He sits back tonight, top 6, exactly where he probably expected to be. So good afternoon for them if it stays that way.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? You
Same last year, wasn't it?
Nine games, you win 2 and you're in the top 6. It just shows you just now. But obviously, postponements, other teams have still to play games. It'll all change.
But Rangers' result today, or scoreline, soon to be result, adds spice to Tynecastle tomorrow, 2:15 kick-off. Celtic out of the international break, players back from Japan and Denmark and all over the place. They need to be aware of the new guy in town now.
Producer Dan has got one of your great stories mixed up, I think, on this show. He says, are you going to do security for Rolex? It was an Omega watch, Dan, that he got stolen in Ibiza. Come on.
Rolex is so 80s. Omega is a modern man's watch.
Especially
not that I would know now.
He's
Seagulls have scored at Man City.
So they have. City 2, Brighton 1. Fatty with the goal. Erling Haaland had got the second for Manchester City. But we'll see what happens at the end of that one.
Guardiola will be quaking his boots.
I'm sure he will. The open line will be here at 5 o'clock, so you can get your thoughts over to us on either today's football, tomorrow's football, something else entirely, Mark Wilson's job prospects perhaps. Whatever it is, do get in touch. Another quick reminder of the teaser, Hugh. Eliminate some more of the wrong guesses.
I have played alongside John Sutton and Lawrence Shankland. I've been managed by Jim Duffy and Jackie McNamara. I've won 3 out of the top 4 divisions in Scottish football, and I've appeared in the Champions League and the Europa League. Who am I?
Andrew Murray, presumably not that one, says Jack Hendry.
No.
He's not won 3 of the 4 divisions. What else have we got here? Colin McNichol thinks it's perhaps Paul Hartley.
Think again.
Andy thinks Paul McGowan.
Think again.
Willow Flood says Moose.
You have me on.
Okay, keep coming. Aaron Muirhead's been sent off, another foul on Tony Watt. Aaron Muirhead strikes me as the type of guy that has been sent off quite a lot. Might be one that I'm being completely unfair and the stats don't back that up, but I do feel like he certainly goes into the book every now and then, and he has been sent off, Aaron Muirhead, for another foul on Tony Watt. So just kind of bad to worse for Partick Thistle. 3-0 down to 10 men. Firhill is emptying, according to David Friel.
But for Jim Goodwin, those are the games that you need to win and take care of. The big ones who are going to come up against you and going to push you all the way probably for the title, and he's getting the job done. You look at, was it the first game of the season away at Arbroath? Did they win 4-0 or 4-1 that game? 4-0. That was a test right away past that, and everything that's really been put in front of him. This is 9th game, no losses in the league so far. This will be 6-1, so all going nicely for Dundee United and Jim.
They'll kick on, they'll win that championship, no problem. When you hear of their front line, Louis Moult and Tony Watt, it's better than anything else is going about, I've got to be honest. So they've got a strong squad, they've got a good squad, and I think needed
a few Premiership clubs would take that front line,
wouldn't they? And probably when it hits January they'll add that 1 or 2 bit of quality just to kick on. So I'm expecting them to win the league. As much as Wraith Rovers are very decent side, good manager up there, working very hard, but I just think Dundee United got that bit of strength.
Hibs are applying pressure now. There is a phrase that sums that up though.
Too little, too late.
Exactly, that's the one I was thinking. Certainly not going to be anything to write home about.
The other good thing for Philippe Clement, if you start with a convincing win and a clean sheet, which has been Rangers' problem as well.
5 subs at once at Fraser Wishart's game. Good luck listing all of those. And I've said it was going from bad to worse for Partick Thistle. That certainly is the case.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It is now 4-0 to Dundee United, a result of the weekend contender for sure. Holt seemed to get the final touch. If he did, it would be his 2nd of the afternoon. And Dundee United's 4th. A corner came into the back post. A great day for Jim Goodwin, terrible day for Chris Doolan and everyone associated with Partick Thistle. What else have we got here on Twitter? Ricky Turner thinks he could see you as a lollipop man. I'd go along with that. I think you're friendly.
Aye,
and caring.
I wouldn't mind that
Great
job.
hours.
Good hours, aye.
Great hours.
Get a free jacket.
I actually was sitting watching the Lollipop Man there last week, thinking I could do that.
Who sits and watches Lollipop Men?
You could do that because
100%
sorry for being
right.
unfair. Is it not usually kind of older gentlemen?
Yeah.
Stereotypically,
You've always got a
you
limp.
should do that.
Plus the fact, think about this: no expenses. I would never be late for
Because
my
you live
work.
across from the
I
school.
live across from my granddaughter's school, and I would just go out there, out with a big stick, into the
It's
middle
called
of
a lollipop.
It's called the big stick. And you go on the middle of the road, on you go.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
Get the coffee on.
Yes!
Cyril Dessers has scored for Rangers. It's Rangers 4, Hibs 0. Cyril Dessers has taken a world of stick.
Hold on, please get VAR.
He's got his goal. And if you're just joining us and wondering what the bizarre reaction is, that means Gordon Dalziel has to make Mark Wilson coffee for a month starting from now.
Hold on there, VAR.
No,
There's
there
always
does
a
not.
VAR.
Doesn't appear to be.
There you are.
Come on, VAR
Yeah.
birthday.
Well, one of the only times I'll cheat a goal like that for Rangers because that means coffee made for a month.
Even fate is running Philippe Clement's way because two Belgians in the team, and for the Belgian manager, each scores.
How long ago there?
Great reverse pass from Cantwell to set him up. I wonder if he was about to come off because Danilo's getting the mask on as well.
By the way, that would make it even better. And you
Yes,
did say
he's off.
Is
He's
he?
gone off.
Is he?
How about that?
His last touch.
Let's get you the ball.
By the way, I'm thirsty at the minute. Parched. Could we be doing without? Oh, here you are.
Producer Dan has just. Well, that's good coffee as well.
Yeah,
Producer
that's
Dan's just come in with the good
Listen,
stuff.
we'll fill for you just now if you want to go out and top that
Do you want
up.
to do it at the next break?
Yeah, I'll have to.
100% he's doing it at the next break.
I'll pay my debts.
Lammers off for McCausland and Dessers off for the masked Danilo. So 3-0's good, 4-0's better. Hugh, stay tuned for more cutting edge analysis from me.
Well, the fans will be on at 5 o'clock, and they will be, I would imagine, unanimous in their praise of what they have witnessed today. This was a Hibs side that 5 games unbeaten when they started off at 3 o'clock today, and they had all the big hitters: Elie Youan, Lafondra, Martin Boyle, Dylan Vente, and I applauded Nick Montgomery, the Hibs manager, for the way he approached the game, but he has been overwhelmed, swamped, done.
Yeah, Hibs have been poor and Rangers have been good as well, Gordon. It's that bad combination, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been I think Rangers fans will be leaving Ibrox tonight very happy with what they've seen. He's brought in one or two of the guys that come in for a lot of criticism under Michael Beale. Obviously Dessers getting his goal. Lammers should have really burst in net. Sima has had a big day. A big day, let's be honest about it. And obviously the luxury of getting Cantwell on as well. So everything rosy in the garden for Rangers and their supporters so far.
Absolute perfect start from, because by all accounts Rangers played very well. It's not like earlier on in the season. Remember, Livingston came and played well for 5 minutes, got the goal, and then there was a huge gap in between where it was pretty turgid stuff, and then they get the goals at the end. It's not been like that today for Rangers. Played well, scored good goals, and what a start for the new manager. Rangers fans, I think, will go away delighted. And you wonder what that goal does for Dessers. You wonder what 2 goals do for Sima. Just under a new regime, it might just elevate you to better performances.
Well, the great thing about this story is that it moves on game by game. We all talk about the new manager bounce, and you could put today down to that if you wish. But now we move on to the next game, and that's the way it is for Philippe Clement. You have to rise to a challenge domestically and in Europe. Sparta Prague, Rangers' last result in Europe was deeply embarrassing. Deeply embarrassing.
Speaking of embarrassing, penalty to Dundee United. Chance to go 5-0 up and a chance for a hat-trick for Kevin Holt, a defender.
Left back. I remember playing.
I'm not sure if he's playing centre back today. I'm not sure, but anyway, he's going to take anyway. And the chance, he does hit penalties. We've seen him hit many penalties, but the chance for a hat-trick. And the Partick Thistle fans, I don't think many of them are left anyway, but those who are will be covering their eyes. He steps up.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Wow, Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 5. What an afternoon that is at Firhill. The visitors are rampant.
Well, you start the day 4 points behind United. with the incentive of if you win at home, you're just 1 point behind and it's looking good. But now, to lose 5-0 at home is an embarrassment, and it's the only word applicable.
What an afternoon for Holt. I mean, one that I'll remember. Can't imagine he scored many hat-tricks, if any, in his professional career.
Right, Hugh, let's round this off.
Okay.
The second half teaser.
With the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside John Sutton and Lawrence Shankland. I've been managed by Jim Duffy and Jackie McNamara. I won 3 of the top 4 divisions in Scottish football, and I appeared in the Champions League and the Europa League. I am Kyle Hutton.
Kyle Hutton. Great guess, Gordon Dalziel, I have to say. And it means that on the podium, Scott Connie was in 3rd place, Mark O'Brien was in 2nd place. They were the only 2 listeners that got it, and the winner of the second half teaser is
Thank you,
Gordon Dalziel. Technically it's Mark O'Brien, because you can't, you're just in it for some fun.
Yeah, obviously I've got a lot more knowledge.
But well done to Mark.
He's got a backstory. Daz got Kyle Hutton over the line for us for Airdrie, signed him. So he knows a lot of his history. He was brilliant. He was brilliant for us. What a great lad as well.
He says to me, Dazzler, always watch out and listen for the half-time teaser. It might come up. I says, give us a couple of your stats. Give us a couple of your stats.
He's just been transfer listed by Pollock or something, I'm sure I saw last week.
Yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Good lad, Cow. Good lad.
Well, there we go. Well done. You got it there. Good knowledge. I can't believe you've studied Kyle Hutton's CV, having never studied anything else in your life. But there we go. Rangers still 4 goals up. Dundee United 5 up. Does anyone want to give us a sense of drama late on? I think that's beyond us. Even Kilmarnock are 3-1 up against Livingston. Not much late drama here, Hugh Keevins.
No, but we spent the entire week focusing on Rangers against Hibs and on Rangers' new manager. And after all the talking he had to do, variety of press conferences, a good interview with yourself on television, it was time for action to see what the guy could deliver. And on a one-off basis against a Hibs team who were undefeated in 5 ahead of kick-off, he has to be extremely happy, and his 2 Belgian compatriots, Dessers and Raskin, have helped him with a goal each. So all in all, it's a flawless day, other than the injury to Borna Barisic early on, but other than that, it's a flawless day for Philippe Clement.
Could have been 5, but Danilo hits it just wide. Fair play to anyone who can play. Have you seen the face mask? It's massive.
Yeah.
It's the same one I saw him wearing at training yesterday. Bound to be up for purchase in the club shop soon. It's a sort of Ranger blue colour.
Yeah.
But yeah, he drags one just wide on his return. Probably back a bit quicker than people expected.
I thought so. After seeing what he was like when he came off that day at McDermott Park, I mean, a real bad one. But these masks nowadays, seen Callum McGregor play for a long time with his on.
Black mask today. There you are. Never
mind. Maybe painted it. But I've got to say, Hugh, at the beginning of the show, you're looking down at fixture list thinking might be a long day, but what, 12 goals in the 3 games?
Yeah.
You know, we've had plenty of excitement, plenty of drama, and obviously sending off, and Dundee United, you know, thrashing Thistle, Rangers thrashing Hibs, and Kilmarnock easing by Livingston. It's been a good day of football.
Oh, of course, the big blue bear got it as well. He's not happy. He says that more than 2 listeners got it. He's not happy at all.
Big blue bear, remember that kids show?
Yeah.
Is that you, Rita?
Well, bear in the
it's
big
not him.
blue house.
Oh, aye.
Yeah,
aye.
I presume it's not him.
Big,
no.
No.
Just a quick one on Borna Barisic. Yilmaz is not in the European squad, is he? No, I don't think he is. So if it is something that keeps Borna Barisic out, although Borna Barisic does have quick recovery powers sometimes, but yeah, with Sparta Prague just round the corner on Thursday, that would be a major reshuffle.
Who would be your replacement there?
At left back,
the young lad,
Sterling played before, didn't he?
Sterling's there, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been a surprise for me as well. Huge disappointment, Sterling. I thought when he signed, he was going to be one. It sounded like he had all the attributes. One that would really push Tavernier, or if they went for 3,
maybe.
Yeah, if they went to a 3 he would play, but no.
Anyway, full time at Firhill. David Friel.
Full time, Gordon, remarkable day here. Full time, Partick Thistle 0, Dundee United 5. Kevin Holt is about to pick up the match ball. He was booed by the Thistle fans on his return after his summer move to Tannadice, but silenced them with an unlikely second half hat-trick. Big centre half, grabbed 3 goals, and an unbelievable performance for United. A real day to remember for him and the club. They moved 4 points clear at the top with a really dominant display. Owner Mark Ogden has said earlier on he hadn't seen them win for 14 months. Well, they delivered for him big style to maintain their unbeaten start to the season. Jim Goodwin didn't have a failure. United were absolutely outstanding. They were up for this one and got off to a perfect start in 11 minutes. Glenn Middleton, he'd missed a good chance just seconds earlier. He sent it in a corner. Craig Sibbald was unmarked at the back post. Powerful finish through a cluster of bodies. This had a few chances before the break. You thought they were going to come up for it. Come out, firing in the second half, but it was all United. Holt grabbed the second in 61 minutes. He strode forward from centre half and crashed a 25-yard shot into the top corner. I've got a bit of doubt over Jamie Snedden, the Thistle goalkeeper, but it was a great strike. 2 minutes later, it was 3-0. Kai Foley and Louis Moult, they both combined to set up Scott McMahon, and he volleyed in at the back post. Thistle were all over the place. Their day got worse when Aaron Muirhead was sent off for a second foul on Tony Watt, and Kevin Holt then piled on the agony. He got the final touch in a corner. It was Glenn Middleton again to make it 4-0, and then converted a penalty in 88 minutes to make it 5-0 and seal a hat-trick. 1,500 United fans here. They're having a party. Firhill emptied long before it in terms of Thistle fans. Jim Goodwin a happy man, Kevin Holt even happier. Full time, Partick 0, Dundee United 5.
4 minutes added at Ibrox. I don't think we're seeing anything other than Rangers being comfortable, maybe even adding a fifth. If Hibs could get one, it would obviously be nothing more than a consolation, but we'll find out in the next 4 minutes or so. That was your first full-time whistle before we get another great result for your old team, Mark Wilson.
Certainly is. Pretty comprehensive. A statement that they're there to stay at the top. Look, the guys are right. The squad that Jim Goodwin's got, terrific. However, they still need to go out there and win games. We've seen many squads down there struggle throughout the years to get out the championship, but the start of this season they're making easy work of it, and Jim will be wanting for that to continue.
Yeah, a great day for Jim, especially when you look at the fixture. You're thinking that could be difficult. Would they be happy getting out of Firhill with a draw? Certainly he's over the moon with 5-0, deservedly so. I agree. I just think that they'll get stronger and stronger. I think they'll get that just bit more quality all over the pitch, but especially in the forward areas when they really need it. So it's been a good day for Dundee United, and Partick Thistle just need to lick your wounds and look forward to next week.
Still 3 minutes to go, I think, at Rugby Park, so a chance for Livy to get something, but they're 2 goals behind, so don't think we're going to see anything significant. Kilmarnock looking good for the 3 points in that one. We'll get the full-time picture with Fraser Wishart.
You're looking good for Wednesday night. The Palmerston Pep has won 1-0 at Annan.
He might go out and celebrate too hard though over the next few days, and he won't make it.
He's an athlete.
We'll find out. Yeah, he's already
He'll
in training.
probably drink 2 bottles of water.
Yeah, he's already in training.
Maybe go fizzy tonight
for next year's Masters, because he wants to bruise Mark Wilson even more.
The dodge him.
Nicholas Raskin should have done better. He's already got his first goal for Rangers. It should have been 2. He's 1-on-1, played through by McCausland, but he took too much time, and Will Fish eventually managed to put him off.
Well, I mean,
it was a bit of a tired effort, I think, from Nicholas Raskin.
Yeah, if he's tired, think of the Hibs players, because they've had the run around this afternoon. But Rangers have been good this afternoon. Hibs poor, but it's been a huge improvement from the Rangers side, from those who have disappointed so much this season. Much better this afternoon.
So the first question I asked is, where were you when Michael Beale was there?
I think Michael Beale takes a lot of plaudits. It's his team.
Sign Seamer.
Yeah, it's all his signings.
You'd find it difficult to get a plaudit for Michael Beale from a Rangers fan, I think.
Yeah, well, it's certainly Rangers' most convincing result of the season. They did beat Livingston 4-0 in the league, but remember, with 12 minutes to go, that one was a bit up in the air. You could have said it was one of those weird days where Michael Beale didn't get much praise despite winning 4-0. I mean, and then other than that, it's everyone knows the defeats and even some of the victories. The 1-0 against Motherwell, of course, last time out at home against Aberdeen was a disaster. The St Mirren one was aided by the sending off. I'm not saying that Rangers wouldn't have won it, but it clearly makes an impact when it comes so early in the penalty. So this has to go down as Rangers' most.
And what we're hearing as well
convincing
from the lads at Ibrox, Gordon, it could probably be a lot more. I think Hibs will be quite lucky to get out of there for. So that adds to it as well. I think every Rangers fan travelling home after a game, or sitting listening to the radio, will be delighted with the start the new manager's made.
And having Cantwell back, Danilo back, Dessers scoring, Sima grabbing a double, all positives. So again, the interesting thing after a performance like this, when you've got Cantwell back and you've got Danilo back for the next game, is do you play them? Because Cantwell stand out really in your squad. Danilo, I think most would look at him over Dessers, but if you take Dessers out the team now after he's scored, what does that do for the lad's confidence? So Philippe Clement right into the job. A win's great, but just moves big decisions on to the next game.
Full time at Ibrox. Let's speak to Roger Hannah, and first Andrew McLean.
Rangers 4, Hibs 0, the full-time score, and a perfect day really for Philippe Clement in his first match in charge of Rangers, and a very different atmosphere here after the full-time whistle than the last game at Ibrox. The Rangers players were booed off against Aberdeen, but they're getting the plaudits from the supporters, many of them staying behind to applaud the players for their efforts today. No doubt the home side were the better in the opening stages. They got that opening goal 17 minutes in. Abdallah Sima, he was set away, showed good pace. He still had a lot to do from the edge of the box. He was at an angle as well, but a really good low drive into the far bottom corner made it 1-0. Then just before the break, it was the same bottom corner that was found by Nicholas Raskin. This one a really nice strike from around 30 yards out. David Marshall with a dive, he couldn't get his hand to it, and it found the net to double their lead. The only blip of that first half was that Borna Barisic was forced off through injury, but more good positive play from Rangers in the second half. Sam Lammers really should have made it 3. Somehow he hit the post instead of scoring from about 7 yards out. Cyril Dessers also should have scored 64 minutes in. Lammers with the ball in behind. Dessers rounded the keeper. His shot was blocked, but it didn't matter because Abdallah Sima was there to finish off the rebound. His second of the game and Rangers third, but it wasn't finished there. Cyril Dessers did get his goal 10 minutes from the end. It was a lovely reverse pass by substitute Todd Cantwell, and Dessers found himself in the centre of the box and he was calm, just side-footed it past David Marshall for 4-0. So 4 goals, 3 points and a clean sheet, and if there's more of that to come, Rangers fans are going to enjoy life under Philippe Clement. The full-time score at Ibrox: Rangers 4, Hibernian 0. A lot that the Rangers supporters will be delighted with, Roger Hannah, from what they saw today.
Yes, an ideal first day at the office for Philippe Clement. He could not have asked for any more, Andrew. Abdallah Sima, 7 in 7 games now with that double today. Nicholas Raskin, his countryman, with his first goal for the club. And even Cyril Dessers getting on the score sheet at the end. He's got Todd Cantwell back, he's got Danilo back. There was a clean sheet for Jack Butland in the back four. It could have been more. Sam Lammers hit the post when he should have scored. There were chances for Lundstrom, there were other chances for Dessers as well. They've closed the gap on Celtic to 4 points ahead of heading for the Europa League in Prague on Thursday night. The only downside, of course, those injuries. Borna Barisic in the first half, Scott Wright in the second half. It'll be interesting to hear from the manager how bad those injuries are. But having been jeered off so often this season, all you hear in the background today's cheers. A big win for Rangers.
Yeah, today was never going to define how Philippe Clement's spell as Rangers manager is going to go. One performance can't do that. However, first impressions are important, and you can already see that many of the supporters are still here, still applauding the team as they make their way down the tunnel, and they'll be hoping that this is a sign of things to come, Roger.
Very much so, yeah, and there's some more big games, you say Europa League, Sparta on Thursday night, Hearts here next Sunday. Every game at the minute is a big game for Philippe Clement, but he will be delighted with the response he's got. He's only had 4 or 5 days to work with these players, Andrew. And he tried to temper expectations yesterday in his media conference. That was never going to work with the Rangers support. They came here full of expectancy, full of hope that they would see more energy, more intensity than they did in the latter days of the Michael Beale reign. They've seen all of that and more today.
Yeah, a dominant win for Rangers. Sima, Raskin and Dessers with the goals. Get the kettle on. Gordon Dalziel, the full-time score. Rangers 4, Hibernian 0.
Rangers fans, what did you make of that? Give us a call right now, please. 01419511025. Full time at Rugby Park, Fraser Wishart.
Kilmarnock 3, Livingston 1. The Kelly fans filing out in front of me, absolutely delighted as their team stopped the rot of 7 games without a victory. Really good performance, fully deserved to win against what I have to say was a poor Livy performance. Kelly with 2. The star man, Dan Armstrong, also with a goal. The only response from Kelly was a first half penalty from Sean Kelly. The game was scrappy early on until that opening goal in 17 minutes when Kelly took the lead. Lovely ball by Bassel, set in Daba down the left hand side. His cross went to pick out Watson, who missed his volley completely, but the ball fortunately for Kelly fell to Dan Armstrong. Really good left foot shot low and get that deflection off Kelly and into the back of the net. Kelly really on top, could have been further ahead until Livy equalised against the run of play with a penalty. It was Stuart Finlay went to clear the ball, but Mo Sangari nipped in, took a touch on the ball before the big defender who accidentally kicked the Livy midfield player, but it was a penalty, and Sean Kelly stepped up to send Will Dennis the wrong way from the penalty spot. But Kelly deservedly regained the lead in 42 minutes. Just a quite simple goal. We've seen it so many times. In swinging Dan Armstrong, free kick from the right hand side. Kyle Vassell ran in unmarked and actually stooped to score with his head from 8 yards low past George. Kelly ran the second half as well, almost extended their lead 1 minute into the second half. Really fierce Watkins shot just inches past the junction of the post and the bar from 25 yards. Keeper beaten, not moving. Paulworth then tested George with a shot at the keeper. He should have done better. But the goal did come in 60 minutes. It was 3-1. Kyle Vassell hit the bar at full stretch to reach a Dan Armstrong cross at the back post. The ball was cleared, but immediately fed back to the right-hand side where David Watson got the ball. And this time, front post cross, really whipped in, and a flicked header by Vassell back across the goalkeeper into top right-hand corner. It was all Kilmarnock. David Martindale not happy. Lots of head shaking inside the park. He threw on Guthrie, Broadley, Montano. They were all thrown to make a difference, but little difference in attack. In fact, as the game petered out, it was Watkins who came close at the other end with a header saved by George as Kelly cruised to victory. The Edmonton's delighted, not only 3 points, but also the performance. They jump into 5th place ahead of Livy. But it'll be interesting to hear David Martindale's interview afterwards. The performance today from his club, very, very un-Livy-like performance indeed. Full time at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock 3, Livingston 1.
And now it's your chance to have your say. What did you make of your team's result and performance today? It's that simple on a Saturday afternoon. Rangers fans, how pleasing was the win? How would you assess the performance? What difference did you see? And what do you think of Philippe Clement going forward? We could, of course, look ahead to tomorrow as well. Celtic fans, the gap has been cut to 4. Do you expect that to go back to 7? Give us all your thoughts ahead of that trip to Tynecastle right now, and we'll get you on next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
A 4-0 win for Rangers in Philippe Clement's first game in charge. What did you make of it? How would you assess any of the other games that went on today? And how do you look ahead to Hearts against Celtic? That should see us through nicely on this phone-in between now and 6 o'clock with Justin on the line. Justin, what did you take away from today?
Hugely impressed, and I know it's hard to judge a manager after one game, but if that's what we've got to come from Philippe Clement, and bring it on, because seeing him so animated, even at 3-0 up, he was encouraging the team on, really animated, as if he was kicking every ball with the players. And some of the players today, that was the best performance I've had of the season. Tav was outstanding today, chased every ball, covered every blade of grass. The only still downside for me is Dessers. I know he scored today, but his movement's just not there for me. But that was watching the players today. I don't know if they were playing to show a point to the new manager or to prove a point to the departed manager, but that was a totally different team than we've seen all season today, and impressive, hugely impressive.
Roger Hannah, you were there, you are still there. Is that accurate, that description from Justin?
Yeah, I think he's hit the nail on the head. Almost everything went well. I thought Cyril Dessers wasn't going to get his goal, and then he got it at the end. And the only thing that didn't work for Rangers was Sam Lammers getting one as well. He hit the post when he should have scored. Hibs were disappointing, but they were never allowed to play. They tried to play out at the back. Rangers' press was so much more intense than it had been under Michael Beale. And, you know, the likes of Raskin, who was voted man of the match in the stadium, was impressive. Seema again, 2 more goals, Gordon, up there as you say, joint top scorer in the league now. and it was night and day from previous performances. You think back to the Aberdeen performance in the last home game, the Celtic performance, even the performance against Motherwell in the victory here. It was night and day, and Philippe Clement can go home very happy tonight.
I mean, Justin's happy because he was animated on the touchline, and you could see the energy. Obviously, some good managers are not animated and can be calm, and bad managers can do it the other way around. There is no exact science, but it is understandable why fans quite like to see it, and especially if it does marry up with a victory on this occasion.
Yeah, very visible presence on the touchline, even from the opening moment. The ball, we weren't actually sure from our vantage point whether the ball had gone out for a throw-in, but he'd bust out and kicked the ball back in get the play going again. He was greeting players as they came off, and Bernard Baristich came off injured in the first half. He had quite a lengthy moment with him in the touchline, talking about the injury and talking about his performance. So he was visible, he was encouraging his players at every turn, driving them forward. And I think the Rangers support will probably like that.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, without being unfair, the bar was probably pretty low. So I take it that's the most convincing performance of the season, and it has to be the kind of benchmark from now on.
100%. As I say, the most, other than seeing him, like you said, Clement encouraging the players at every point, which he was, is a huge bonus for me as a Rangers fan. But the thing that stood out more than anything, and even more than the 4 goals, even if it's only 1-1 today, we fought for every single ball. Yilmaz was going into tackles. I don't think I've seen so many slide tackles in one game this season. I don't think we were fighting for everything. We weren't giving anything up. And as I say, it seemed for the word go that we wanted to win that game, and we were going to win it in every player's mind. The ball, the one bit of magic for me in the whole game was Cantwell. Cantwell's reverse pass for Desser's goal was a different class, a different level. It took the whole defence out of the equation. And I'm going home happy today for a number of reasons, but more so because of the fight that we showed and the determination we showed. It's impressive, and it's long overdue.
Roger, it's good having this eyewitness here. You can answer all of Justin's points.
They were on the front foot, which they haven't always been, even at home this season, Gordon. They were on the front foot from the first whistle. Interesting little tactical tweaks, when they were out of possession. It was very much an old-fashioned flat 4-4-2. Scott Wright on the right-hand side and Seema on the left, tucked in. They were down level with Raskin and Lundstrom in the middle, protecting the fullbacks. But Lammers pushed up. Lammers pushed right up high alongside Dessers to try and prevent Hibernian from playing out from the back. Nick Montgomery likes to start attacks with David Marshall feeding the ball to his back four and building from there and trying to break the press. Rangers made it almost impossible for Hibernian to break the press, and they were winning the ball back high up the pitch, and that immediately caused Hibs problems.
Thank you very much to Justin. I think that'll be a sign of things to come, Hugh. How could you not be impressed if you're a Rangers fan today? Of course, it's just one game, and we wait to see what happens. But on the evidence of that, 90 plus minutes, job done, and then some. As
the old saying goes, you only get one chance to make a first impression, and the impression that Philippe Clement has left on Justin and the other Rangers fans has been considerable today. And I think the Rangers' problem in recent years is that they have fallen for people who were not good enough to manage Rangers. Pedro Caixinha and Michael Beale, they fell for both of them. They have taken their time and brought in Graham Souness to do the consultancy work on this one. And they've got in a guy of a different calibre to Caixinha, to Beale. They've got a guy who is a proven winner, a 3-time title winner in Belgium, who was good enough to go to the top league in France on the back of that at Monaco. So I think this guy is from a different level, and he has started to prove that today.
Let's go back to the phones, because John is also hanging on. What impressed you the most, John, when you look at today's performance?
Good evening, Gordon, Hugh, Roger. The first time somebody made a first impression like that on me, I married a woman, so it was a good first impression. So
Gordon Dalziel, don't say a thing.
No, I'm going to use
You've been
it.
there many times.
I would say the passing today. The passing was gone to players, and Beale's history is gone now, but some of the passing the first few games of the season. We couldn't make 2 3-yard passes, and it was horrible to watch. And the press was high, but it was when known to press, because sometimes they could have pressed and Hibs could have broke, so they knew when to press. They didn't press all the time, and it was a good press. And as your last caller says, the tackling today, and I think there was a couple of yellow cards, but it wasn't. The tackling was right on the money, and I was just watching night and day. For a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I don't even know why I watched another Rangers game this season, but the day was enjoyable. We could have scored more than 4. Every player got pass marks. Glad Dessel's got his goal. He could have had another one. Came to Seema. If it didn't go to Seema, it probably would have been a penalty. Even Lammers, he's still trying. He's getting in the positions. He hit the post. He's putting the tackles in. Every player today get pass marks, and I've not said that about Rangers for a long time. And then Cantwell coming on today, he showed with that pass. With the last call saying you'll not see a better pass than that all weekend.
Roger, would you go as far as to say has every player got pass marks?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, the whipping boys have been Dessers and Lammers, but Dessers did get his goal. He should have scored one earlier, and there was a shot that was blocked. But when Abdullah Sima got his second goal, Lammers too, it was his tackle that we gained possession before Nicholas Raskin scored the second goal just before half time. So yeah, everybody probably did get pass marks. The worry will be the injuries to Borna Barisic and Scott Wright, particularly Barisic, because Radvan Yilmaz isn't in the Europa League squad, so it might involve young Adam Devine starting in Prague on Thursday afternoon. But I think the Rangers supporters, they're already phoning into the show to tell you, Gordon. The Rangers supporters will be a lot happier tonight with what they've seen.
Yeah, I mean, Cyril Dessers not only scores the goal, which means Mark Wilson gets coffee made by you for a month, Gordon Dalziel. But on a more serious note, it clearly was an important one for him to get. He has clearly been ridiculed a lot on this show. He did have 3 goals before now, hadn't scored in a few games, so what difference could that make?
Oh, well, you see the difference it's made to Seema. All of a sudden he looks like a guy that's going to put the ball in the back of the net week in, week out. And look, if you're a centre forward at Rangers, doesn't matter how you play, you will be judged on your goals. And I know he was going to get substituted. I know we were making a bit of fun about it, but for a lad, it's a great confidence booster. He's put a thought now into the manager's head. At the end of the day, he's there to score goals. He's got one today under a new manager. The object today for Rangers was quite simple: send the supporters home happy. They've achieved that. They now move on to next.
I mean, the previous caller was still critical of the Dessers' performance despite the goal, so maybe for some it needs to be a bit more, but there is time, I suppose. John, how impressed have you been with Abdallah Sima? Because that's 9 goals already this season. I know there's been a lot of doom and gloom around Rangers, so maybe everyone kind of falls into that same bracket of getting criticised, but that's a great return, is it not?
Well, I'll be honest, when I first seen him the first couple of games, I was like, no. And I was glad we just signed him and loaned him, thinking, is there a loan to buy option? Because he's still raw at times, but that goal return is phenomenal. And he's doing it in Europe, he's doing it in the league. And the day he was everywhere in the park doing that side, and he was still trying to tackle for the ball in 89 minutes. And that's in their box or just outside their box. He gave everything today, and last few games he's probably been the only shining light at Rangers. And the thing with Dessers, he's worked under Clement before, so you don't know if he's put an arm with him and he might get goals at him. Sometimes it's a different manager that can goals at a player, and I'm hoping because he has worked with him before, there's still a chance for him.
I accept, Roger Hanna, that there is probably an element of over-analysis when a manager's managed one game. You zone in on every little movement and action, but I did notice, I saw a clip on social media there that Dessers scores, he then comes straight off, and as he comes off, the manager grabs him, and then there's a kind of lengthy message clearly getting put across to Cyril Dessers. It just looked like a real deliberate moment from the new manager.
Absolutely, and I can take that further, Gordon, because after the final whistle, the Rangers players on the pitch saluted the home fans, and the players who had been substituted came on, and Dessers went way down to the area at the front of the Brimley Road stand here where the Union Bears gather, and he was, I think, the last Rangers player to leave the park, and he left with the applause of the Rangers fans ringing in his ears, and he had a huge grin on his face. How many times have you seen Cyril Dessers coming off this pitch, or coming off a pitch where Rangers have played this season, looking down, looking miserable? If you listen to the callers, they're more enthused, they're more energised by this performance and by the way Philippe Clement has set this team up today. The players will be the same, Gordon. It's almost as if a cloud or a weight has been lifted off the shoulders of Cyril Dessers this afternoon. Not a great performance, not a 10 out of 10, far from it, as the callers are saying, but he's got a goal, and every journey starts with a first step.
Journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Roger Hanna, me, two old hacks, we know what we're talking about.
I mean, Mark, everything is kind of including that caveat of, it's just the first game, and then you need to do it again, and then you need to do it in the big games. That's just the nature of the demanding football environment that we live in. But as far as doing all you could do, it feels like that was kind of that sort of day for Rangers, wasn't it?
Pretty much so. I think for the manager coming in, what he could affect, he did, and everything in a positive light. What can he affect when he comes in? So just small things. Was it John or Justin mentioned about how Rangers pressed? Of course a manager can affect that, because it's a simple thing to put in the players' minds, but just being relatable to the players, putting an arm around some of them, having a private word with us, some of them making them feel better about themselves, gives them that extra energy when they go on the pitch. That's the difference you can probably make in 5 days. And he got it all today. He got better performances from a lot of them, if not all of them. He got players back from injury. I think Sima, apart from his 2 goals, just looked, dangerous. He looked to take players on. He was direct. So he pretty much got the all-round package. I mean, Roger will be able to tell us, did Butland have anything to do apart from that touch in the first half? Again, that's a positive, because Rangers pressed really high and won the ball back. So all in all, a good afternoon, and he's on to the next test now. His team selection for midweek, a European game that's going to look totally different, but ticked a lot of boxes today with the Rangers fans.
When you consider that potentially that could be the Viaplay Cup final, Rangers versus Hibs, Rangers of Hearts in the semis, Hibs will get Aberdeen, potentially that could be the Viaplay Cup final. If you're Nick Montgomery, that doesn't fill you with enthusiasm.
Thank you very much to John and Cambuslang, 0141 951 1025. We are looking back on events at Ibrox. We'll start getting post-match reaction. The first time we'll hear from Philippe Clement after a game. So we'll do that in the not too distant future. And if you want to get your thoughts ahead of tomorrow, Celtic fans, give us a call right now.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
The dust is settling on Saturday's football. We're looking back on it all and previewing tomorrow's action as well. So get your calls in, please. We'll hear from the managers, including Philippe Clement for the first time post-match. Let's bring in Joe, who's on the line. How's it going, Joe?
Alright.
What do you make of that today?
Full performance was a lot better today for Rangers.
What in particular impressed you?
Sima, especially, and just for your wingers, man, I like seeing a winger taking players on instead of turning back when a one-on-one, instead of going for it, trying to get to the byline or whatever, get the ball in. But today it was a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, Roger, how many times do you see quick wingers who actually don't really know how to use their pace, and they just don't do it to great effect? I'm not saying Sima does it all the time and he's the finished article, but there was elements of that today that, trying to make it count in good areas.
Yeah, and listen, as one of the callers said earlier on, he's still a bit raw, and there were moments in the game, particularly in the opening 15 minutes before he scored his first goal, where he did take the wrong option and his first touch was quite clumsy. But I think once you get the lift of that first goal, he turned in a really, really impressive performance. He took his second goal well after Desser's shot was blocked, and it was a really good all-round performance. I think that's wider than we've quite often seen him, an authentic left winger in a 4-4-2 this afternoon, and he will be a key player going forward for Philippe Clement.
I remember hearing from some of the Belgian football experts that were having their say on Philippe Clement around the time that he was appointed, and they said he liked to keep his wingers kind of high and wide. I thought, well, that might be a problem because Rangers don't really have any, or Michael Beale recruited with a view to playing players in other areas, but they do have Sima. Scott Wright got the nod today, off injured. Rabbi Matondo's out injured. So is that the way you would expect to see Sima operate then, Gordon?
Yeah, I think it would have been very pleased with the Rangers manager was the pace of Sima. I seen his first goal on social media, Gordon, and he absolutely kills the Hibs defence with pace. He's still got a bit to do. It's a difficult angle, and it's a terrific finish, and that just sets him off. I keep saying it, if you're playing with a club the size of Rangers, you've come under a little bit of pressure, you're a new signing, people, the jury's still out. The best way to turn that round is put the ball in the back of the net. And he's doing that, and you hear the fans on tonight talking and singing his praises. He's obviously flipped the supporters round. They're big fans of him now. He's got to keep doing it. But I think what the Rangers manager seen of him today, he'd have been very, very pleased with.
Overall, Joe, did it feel different? He's no Harry Potter with no magic stick and all that, but 5 days in the training ground, what looked different to you?
The right players under.
Oh.
In the wings, they're getting the ball to the wings, and that's where we're getting more crazy.
Joe's line's a bit dodgy. Roger, you were there as well. Do you think off the ball or on the ball, what was the main difference? Which of those two departments jumped out most in terms of change?
It's a good question, Gordon, because off the ball there was a change. As we said earlier on, Hibernian try and play football the right way under Nick Montgomery. They try and start deep at the back. David Marshall takes time to feed the ball out to his defenders, but Rangers were in their faces right from the first whistle, and Hibs just didn't get going. Hibs were disappointing this afternoon, and it's Celtic next, and they've got a semi-final coming up against Aberdeen, as Hugh said, so they will need to raise their game. But it'll be interesting to hear what Nick Montgomery says, because Rangers didn't let them play this afternoon. There was the energy that the fans have been calling for so long. There was that intensity in the press, so with their play without the ball was almost as important today as their play with the ball.
What do you think, Joe? I think we've got you back.
Hi, I thought the day was more width in the play, but under Beale it was off through the middle, and it just didn't work. You could see it wasn't working, and he got rid of most of the wingers, but Wilson done alright today. Also Scott Wright looked like he was half out the door, but he looked alright before he went half injured.
Yeah, how did he do, Roger? Not only did he look like he was on his way out, did not give an interview at the airport talking about being on his way to another club, and here he is still starting games for Rangers.
Yeah, he was in Turkey talking to, I think it was Pendikspor, just before the transfer window closed in August. He looked as if he was set to go and play in Turkey's Super League. He then withdrew from the process, came back, and listen, if Michael Beale wasn't going to pick him, you hang about and you wait until the manager goes and see if the next manager will pick you. So he would get a huge lift from being selected by Philippe Clement in his first game today. He was fine. Again, sometimes there's something lacking in Scott Wright's final ball. That's something he could do with improving upon. But until he got that knock and had to come off to make way for Todd Cantwell, it was a fine performance, a decent performance.
Thank you very much to Joe on the line. I suppose wide areas of Rangers team, that's almost been the real debating point as they've gone from one manager to the next, because the way Steven Gerrard did it was different to the way that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst did it, which was then different to the way Michael Beale did it, and it all sort of relied upon whether the width comes from the fullbacks and how high you expect them to be, or whether there's a more natural wide players further up that do it. So it feels like a lot of Rangers fans maybe quite like what they're seeing, and again, I keep saying it, obviously one game down.
Well, in a strange way, I think because Barisic and Tavernier's delivery is so good that it's made certain managers' minds up that that's where the width would come from, because they're so good at delivering the ball on the money. However, it takes a lot away from you. Sima today, keeping the width but just using that natural pace to go by players obviously gets you into more dangerous areas further up the field, and it looks like Clement may stick to that he actually, I hark back to the 4-4-2, hard back about 10 years ago when loads of teams were playing it, that was your dangerous areas. Get the ball to the wide man, leave him to just go and take the full back on and see where it gets you. It might just be like that, but he needs the personnel to do it. It looks like you got Sima on one side, Scott Wright going to be the answer. My opinion, I very much doubt it. I think Matondo would maybe play that role, but January will be huge. If Clement's going to play that way, then he'll need to recruit properly for those areas, an area that Michael Beale, remember, didn't think he needed, but then reverted back to Matondo. So those are the things that the new manager will be paying attention to. I know he's got a lot of jobs and a lot of stuff on his desk at the minute, but being a manager at Rangers, he's got to look to the future as well and what he needs in January.
One thing he said in his many press conferences prior to today, everyone starts with a clean slate, and that includes Scott Wright. And the manager, I'm sure, will have looked at Sima and thought, he's better than I thought he was. So they've all got a chance, all the way to Ross McCausland, who came on late in the game. Everyone clean slate.
Thank you very much to Joe, who's gone anyway. Even if I wanted to bring him back in, I don't know if the line's broken up or he's got better places to be. Both entirely possible explanations. But the Philippe Clement post-match interview is in our inbox, which means it will make its way to your ears very soon indeed. Let's go to Gary in East Kilbride now, though. Gary, how are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm just heading back from the game at the moment.
What was the big takeaway from today then?
A lot better. Definitely played with a bit more urgency, moved the ball a bit quicker. I think the first half was sort of a wee bit slow, but obviously went in with the 2 goals, so that's always a great start. It felt a lot better to get to the end of the game and not be holding on to my seat and hoping and praying that we get through it. So yeah, it was definitely a better feeling leaving 4-0 up than it was the last couple of games. So I definitely think he seems to have got a bit more out of the players. I'm still not convinced on Dessers. I thought he took his goal well. I actually thought he'd screwed it up a wee bit when he took that extra touch, but he put it away well. And Sima, again, it was a toss-up between him, Lundstrom and Raskin, and maybe even Tab for me for man of the match today. I thought they all had a decent game. And you can definitely see what he's working on, so that's always a good sign, that you can actually see that there is a wee bit of urgency there.
Yeah, I mean, Roger, look, Cyril Dessers wasn't going to turn into this super confident, swashbuckling player overnight. Given the start to the season, I suppose Gary's right. Is it one of the Sima goals? Dessers probably he possibly should score at that moment. It doesn't matter because it falls to a teammate. But is it a start for him? Is that the way it has to be viewed?
Yeah, I think you can only view it that way, Gordon. I mean, he was on the floor in terms of his confidence and his self-belief going into this game. It was actually a surprise that he was listed in the team sheet. We said that when we saw the teams at 2 o'clock. I think most people, with Danilo and Kemar Roof both on the bench, I think people thought one or other of those players would have started and maybe got an hour. He's not, scintillating. He's not getting the fans like Gary off their seats today. But he missed chances, but he kept going. He kept his head up, and he took his chance at the end. It can only lift him. It can only start the process of restoring the confidence, restoring the belief in his own ability. I think Fraser Wishart said between 2 and 3 o'clock, the likes of Dessers and Lammers can't be as bad as they looked under Michael Beale. They've got impressive career CVs. They must be better than the Rangers fans have seen. And maybe this afternoon they began to show the Rangers fans what they can bring to the party.
Just out of curiosity, Gary, was Philippe Clement the man you wanted, or did you want someone else, and this is the start of you being won over? What's your opinion been in the last couple of weeks?
With getting him, I thought it was a sign of getting somebody in that's a bit experienced. I've said for the past couple that I felt that Kuznetsov from Bodo Glint's always been my choice, but Clement, he's got a decent pedigree, he's won stuff in Belgium, and he seems to, a lot of people seem to say he gets the best out of players. What I did notice is when he subbed Dessers and Lammers, he actually took 5-10 seconds as they were coming off to bring them in and basically just talk to them one-to-one as they were coming onto the bench. So that would sort of go down the man-manager route, and if that's the case, it's positive signs.
I don't know why people are having such a hard time coming round to Philippe Clement, because, as I say, he is cut from a different cloth to recent managers of Rangers. He is from a higher calibre altogether, and he was believable, if I can put it that way. Rangers took a chance on a man, Michael Beale, who had managed Queen's Park Rangers 24 times. That was the extent of his managerial career. 24 games. And they fell for him. And they then had to admit their mistake. This guy is of a different order.
I think we can hear from Philippe Clement very soon. Yes, in fact, right now. The first time we've heard from him post-match. Here's what he had to say.
I'm happy. I'm happy about the result. I'm happy that the seeds that we planted this week in the 2 days or the days before with the guys who were here, that the team is trying to do them as good as possible. I still saw a lot of details we can make better, but I've seen a team really stayed well in the structure, made the runs also without ball, also the tempo that we played, and the most important thing for me was the reaction after losing ball or after missing a chance. Our reactions were good, and that's a crucial part in modern football.
The fact that the players have taken a lot of information on board over the last few days and put in a performance like that, does that give you a lot of confidence for the next few weeks and months?
Yeah, but there need to be confirmation. It's like the honeymoon, everything is new. They need to confirm this the next weeks, the next months. On the downside for me is that I see a player falling out after 10 minutes. I see other players who had struggled to play 90 minutes also. So there are still several players injured or coming back out of injury. So that's going to be also a main task together with the performance staff to get everybody at his best level, his best physical level, to produce this kind of games and better every 3 days, the next couple of months. It's not about one moment doing it and then afterwards being too tired to do it again 3 days later. So we have still a lot of job to do, but I'm really happy about the reaction, and I'm most happy also to see how fast the synergy between players and fans was back today.
He's clearly not impressed by the general state of fitness of the Rangers players. He's made one or two remarks there that show that is the case, but he knows it can get better. He will make it better, and he knows how to make it better. And, you know, the phrase that he used straight away, the seeds that we planted, well, he came up roses today, didn't he?
Oh, nice line, Hugh. Yeah, I thought that was impressive. Hugh's right about, you know, referring back to the fitness and the injury to Barisic, and talking about the performance staff getting everybody up to speed to go again. And that's what's required at a big club when European games are round the corner, followed by another important league game or the semi-final coming up. But he seems happy, not getting ahead of himself, and I think Rangers fans will be pleased to hear that. You know, just reiterating that it's not about today, it's about what happens in the coming months. So I think he handled that pretty well, but definitely if I was a Rangers player, I'm thinking my fitness work is going to go up Monday to Friday.
It was simple for me. I think what I took from that interview was quite easy. I think he's enjoyed his day. He's got off to a terrific start, but in the back of his mind he still knows there's a lot of work to be done. Let's not be carried away here.
Yeah, Gary, is that the impression that it gives you?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say fans have said since Gio that the fitness levels didn't seem to be great, so him coming in and saying that sort of solidifies what the fans have thought for a wee while. But it's encouraging signs. I'll definitely give him that. And as I say, it wasn't my first choice, but I wasn't unhappy with him coming in. I do think he's got a decent level there, and as Hugh says, he's a lot more experienced than the guys we've brought in previously. So I'm excited to see how it goes going forward.
Yeah, Roger, did his post-match analysis, anything jump out for you?
Quite calm, reserved in his praise, but easy to come in and praise all the players over the top for a 4-0 win against a decent Hibs side. But he seemed more measured, more assured in his words. He chose his words carefully. He wasn't going crazy with excitement. So I think he knows there's more to come from those players. He will demand more from those players, both individually and collectively. He said, there are things there that can be improved upon, and it'll be a long process improving them.
Roger Hanna, will say our farewells to you. You can enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. We will bid you farewell.
Thanks very much, guys. I'll be around for my coffee in 10 minutes, Daz.
Cheers, Rog.
You look angry that he's been let go early. You wanted him kept there all night, didn't you?
Ridiculous. I was there till the tune went up.
Yeah, honestly, it's just one of those things. Thank you to Gary on the line as well. You can keep the calls coming on today's football. Rangers fans, it might be a good time to switch focus because Celtic are at Tynecastle tomorrow as well. We'll look at that next.
Your say 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
We're into the final parts, but we are not done yet on the football discussion, not by a long way. We're going to preview Hearts against Celtic tomorrow, so Celtic fans, get your calls in. John in Largs is on the line. What did you make of today, John?
Hi guys, hi panel, how you all doing? Good. Very, very impressed today. What impressed me most was the structure of our back line for a change. So the defence was very well structured and very well organised. I noticed with a little tweak that Tav and Barisic and then Ridvan, when he came on, they weren't pushing as high and they weren't found at a position as much today as what they have been in previous games, allowing obviously other teams to get down that wing and get in behind us. So I was very impressed with that today.
And that's it, Mark. That goes back to what the previous discussion we had. That is okay if you've got guys up the pitch providing the width. That's the idea.
Yeah, and again, it'll be interesting to see if that's something to come in weeks ahead, because, you know, Philippe Clement would have looked at Hibs' threat as well. Where's Hibs' most dangerous players? Boyle on one side and Ewan on the other. So do you say to your fullbacks, you know, go ahead and have a free rein and charge up the pitch? Of course not. So it's certainly done his homework in that respect. But you're right, if you've got guys ahead of you, that is your game plan. That's the way you want to play. You want to play with wingers who take you up the pitch, not fullbacks that take you up the pitch. Then Tavernier and Barisic and Yilmaz are going to do some of their better work from, you know, the middle third of the pitch.
How important was the nature of that convincing win, John, in terms of giving maybe even the fans something to kind of just buy into? You know what it would have been like. I know it was only day one, but if it hadn't gone right today, this phone-in would have been explosive. Was it important to do that today?
I think it was very important to try and get rid of that toxic atmosphere that was Ibrox for the last few weeks. I was at that. Obviously I've been a season ticket holder for over 20 years now, but that last game against Aberdeen is probably one of the most toxic atmospheres I've seen at Ibrox in a long time. So it was good to actually get rid of that, get the fans behind the players for a change. Just another couple of little points that I was impressed with today. Obviously, one of the other ones was intensity of the players themselves. You could see players spurring each other players on, especially Lundstrom. Every chance he got, he was telling players, right, you're here, you're there. I was very impressed. Also, what I've seen today on the touchline, not from the manager, but from actually one of the coaches. So before a player was coming on, they actually had one of the coaches out, putting them through their paces before they came on, which I've not seen done by any of the managers previously. So obviously the guy's doing his homework. He's getting the players physically and mentally as ready for the game as they possibly can before putting them on, which was very, very impressive.
There is something known as a new manager bounce, Gordon, and sometimes it just happens, and then it might even, you know, kind of fizzle out, and you think, well, of course players should try a bit harder, or they should look a bit more intense when they've got a new manager to impress. But is that the bit that, say you are Michael Beale, say you're listening right now, hi Michael, you think, well, hold on a minute, why didn't I get that level of intensity?
That is a big question, and I think Michael Beale would be quite right to ask that. But
or is he not the right man to get it out of them? You know, it's a two-way street, I suppose.
That's the other thing. But he's gone, and it's now forward-thinking new manager. Look, you can tell he's made a good impression. You've got guys on, like John, on talking about noticing wee things about the substitutions. You know, the coaches are out warming the subs up before they come on. Whether that makes a great difference or not, I'll never know, right? But it's small details that fans pick up on. Look, Rangers have had a very, very good day today, but I thought the manager spoke very well after the game, and he basically put it out there. Yes, let's enjoy it. I was pleased with certain parts of it, but we have a lot of work to do.
Here's what he had to say on Cyril Dessers.
For Cyril, it's also simple. I talked with him about that this week. It's about doing hard work every day and repeating. Doing hard work for the team also. Because if he didn't score today, he still would have had a good game because he worked for the team. Same with Sam. They worked really hard for the team, and because of that, we can do good pressing. Hibs is a good team. They showed this the last couple of weeks with good football, but they struggle to do their normal football because our attacking players did their defensive job. And it's for me not important who's scoring goals. It's not important that it's the striker or a winger or a midfielder or a central defender. No, it's about scoring the goals, getting the results, and to be one team all the time.
Thank you to John in Largs. That was John there sharing his thoughts on Rangers, and Philippe Clement giving his on Cyril Dessers, Hugh?
I think that Dessers has looked like a player intimidated by his surroundings since he arrived at Rangers. John, who's just left us, spoke about the toxic atmosphere at Ibrox, and he, Dessers, has been swallowed up by that toxic atmosphere. Now, I don't think it's hard to understand that when a Belgian is joined by a Belgian manager, there is a natural affinity. He immediately feels more comfortable in his environment. And today Dessers finally got a goal, and we had Roger Hannah's word for it that he was the last player off the park because he was milking the applause, which is again understandable. If you've taken the abuse, and he certainly has, then you're entitled to milk the applause when it comes along. So that's another factor to ensure that Philippe Clement and Cyril Dessers have had a good day.
He does represent Nigeria though, so just you remember that for when it's asked on a full-time teaser
He's
or
the
something.
Nigerian Kevin Kyle, according to a caller from a few weeks ago.
There was one of those.
I think the Nigerian Kevin Kyle caller might come back on, along with the man who said that Tavernier should get back in his Lamborghini and go.
Well, there is still a long way to go. We need to wait and see what Cyril Dessers produces. It is just one afternoon, so we will see. What about tomorrow, Mark Wilson? It's a touch early to do the whole... The gap's been cut to 4 points. Rangers have played the day before Celtic. It does bring its natural sort of question of, OK, it is now 4, and what can Celtic do to respond?
Well, look, there's always pressure when you're setting to play, particularly when you go to Tynecastle. Now, Celtic have dealt with it in recent years pretty well. Going back that last year, the introduction of VAR, great game, plenty goals, but still get the job done. Look, Celtic are progressing for me quite nicely under Brendan Rodgers. I think they're getting better game by game. I think the best performance was at home against Kilmarnock, where they created plenty of chances, scored plenty of goals. Brendan Rodgers will be looking for the same again tomorrow.
Can I just say to you, the phrase is back. After today, a draw is a disaster, a defeat is a catastrophe.
I'm not going to get carried away with Tynecastle, a very difficult place to go. I think Celtic will go there very confident. Like, Hearts will make a game of it, no doubt about that, but I think Celtic, the way they're going about their business just now, Rangers getting a good result today, I think they'll respond tomorrow and win.
Anything in particular that you're looking for team selection wise, Mark? It's all quite straightforward at the moment.
The wide area for me going forward, I mean, is Palma nailed that down? Is he going to be a certain starter? I think that's the only...
I think when you look at the Kilmarnock game, certainly if he was in already that day and he then goes and scores the goal he did,
you would like to think he was.
He also has that eye for goal. You know, those who have been chosen before him have not shown his kind of
centre half position as well for Celtic. I mean, Lagerbielke scores midweek for Sweden, so it's up for grabs. Scales, listen, he's done great. Does he stay in? I would expect he would, but like, it's all about performance, about getting to know the manager's ways. Hatate, O'Reilly and McGregor forming a partnership that, you know, we've seen in previous
I only think it's a wide area, Mark, and I think Palma will start. I think two centre backs, Carter, Vickers and Scales all day long. I don't think he'll change up.
I think it really is just going to be a case of
Navrosky is back as well, is he not? Is he back fit?
Until Scales' Celtic performances drop, he's in.
Correct.
It's got to be. Look, for Scales, it's another test away at another ground. I know Daz is saying about results in previous years, but it is difficult to play at Tynecastle, and it's another one for him to tick off the list, so it's going to be a test for him. Look, Hearts haven't been particularly good under Stephen Naismith in recent weeks, so, you know, Celtic cannot take this fixture easily, because this can swing. You know, performance levels get raised against Celtic and Rangers, but Celtic should have enough to get the job done and move on to midweek game against Atletico Madrid, which is going to be another huge one for them, just round the corner.
I can't disagree with that, but I watched Scales in international duty as well. I think the confidence that guy's playing with is incredible. He's become a fan's favourite. He's nailed down for me. I know that the new signings are coming back and Lagerbielke midweek and everything, but I think it would be very harsh to replace Scales. I think the Scales has got the jersey just now, and I think he will keep it until he gets through a real bad period, but there's no signs of that. The wide area, Palma, as we spoke about before the international break, I think he's nailed on. I think he can pick Celtic team.
Because you have to say, Hugh, Celtic's away fixtures have been tough, on paper this season. They've obviously had to go to Ibrox, they've gone to Pittodrie, they've gone to Livingston, they've gone to Motherwell, and they then go to Tynecastle tomorrow. So far we've probably said this a lot about tough place to go, and I'm sure it still is, but they've passed all those examinations so far.
4 tough away places, 4 wins. You can't argue with that, and their record against Hearts in the last couple of years has been superb. And Brendan Rodgers is a highly astute man. He's every bit the man of high calibre that Philippe Clement is, and he knows as he looks across town that things have changed. The landscape has altered because of Clement's arrival, and Celtic need to be going into that game tomorrow with their eyes wide open. They have the talent to beat Hearts, and they should do.
He knows what a danger Tynecastle is, though. Remember, it was there where that unbelievable run for him came to an end when nobody would have seen that coming, and it ended in spectacular fashion. So he knows it's a difficult place, but he should get the job done.
He's had some memorable moments there. Memories of Scott Sinclair climbing off the bench hours after signing as well.
And it was the fixture hours later almost when he left Celtic, and Neil Lennon had to step in. So it's a place that he knows pretty well, and he knows what's expected.
Yeah, but I think they'll go there with bags of confidence, Gordon. I know what the boys are saying, because we always say about Tynecastle, I just think Celtic have got too much quality. Mark touched on it. The Hearts aren't a team that's banging for them. I just feel Celtic, especially tomorrow, after Rangers' result today, will also put down a marker. I think they'll win comfortably in Edinburgh.
How would you sum up today's football, Hugh? It was a fixture card ripped apart by the weather. We had a few big games on, though.
You cannot declare a transformation has taken place after one game, but you can acknowledge that in Philippe Clement, Rangers have a man who has the potential to carry out a transformation. 4-0 against Hibs is a very good result for him, and for Kilmarnock, good return to form, convincing win over Livy, and in the Championship, Dundee United top with a 5-0 win at Firhill. A good win for a good win.
Hugh Keevins is away to watch Strictly, Gordon Dalziel's away to the pub, and Mark Wilson's away to the bingo. How these three live their lives on a Saturday night. We
Life
will
in the fast lane.
Speak to you on Monday from 6. You can listen back on the podcast as always, and stay right there. The GBX is up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lucas Jaguar. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in store or online.